The last assassin Mu Jiu became a shadow that pursued them. A star general that had become an overlord was no laughing matter. She instantly arrived in front of Su Xing, the double daggers in her hands spilling her killing intent, woven like silk. Su Xing held Zhu Sha in one hand while he wielded the thousand-year divine sword in the other. He relied on those innate skills that were not inferior to a star general's in order to block with the sword. He once again used an escape technique and fled instantly 100 meters away. Mu Jiu changed from her previously heedless attitude. She was savage and cruel to the extreme. After her first strike missed, the investigative star's figure vanished into thin air. Su Xing's escape technique stopped, and without time to draw breath, a sharp wind entered his ear. Mu Jiu suddenly reappeared next to him like a ghost, her twin daggers stabbing directly at Zhu Sha's back. Su Xing was startled. He grit his teeth and activated the chaotic tail escape. His skin cracked, blood spattered, and he disappeared once again. This time, he fled several dozen li away. Su Xing did not stop, continuing to escape several times. If you can't win, then run. Against an overlord-level star general, Su Xing did not have any arrogant thoughts about testing his strength. Several consecutive chaotic tail escapes later, he made all of the Crystal Dragon Palace's cultivators, including Emperor Liang, stare dumbstruck. Bloodlight flashed by above them, the speed extremely quick. Several blinks later, it had traveled the entire palace. Su Xing's whole body hurt as he grimaced and stopped. The chaotic tail escape side effects really were a bit severe. If he could, Su Xing honestly did not want to use this kind of self-harm technique. Su Xing spread open his divine intent, scanning in all direction. But he had taken only a single breath when a chilling knife point once again whistled past his ear. Mu Jiu once again appeared. Fuck, she really is like a dead soul lingering about. Su Xing was startled. This speed was unavoidably too fast for her to even be able to catch up. How could Su Xing have known that this was indeed Mu Jiu's Earth rank assassination? Dead soul lingering about. This dagger stabbed into Su Xing's chest, but when the second dagger attacked, Su Xing's palm fired Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder, only then blasting Mu Jiu away. I will kill all of you to avenge little sister. Mu Jiu fiddled with her daggers, her face cold. Put me down. Zhu Sha felt a powerful force constrict her waist. Even the stone-faced earthly leader star could not help but feel a bit strange. Su Xing did not mind her and snapped his fingers, then unleashing Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder. An assassin's most threatening time was only while she was hidden. Since she had been exposed, her threat level had been reduced by half. Mu Jiu spun, flashing to Su Xing's flank. Her stabs were directed towards Zhu Sha's chest. Dark rank assassination. Departing. 2. At this moment, the chaotic tail escape already could not longer be used. Su Xing hugged Zhu Sha and instantly spun around without thinking, using his body as a shield. The meditative mind lotus seed simultaneously opened, and he used the Akla Wisdom King chant. One dagger stabbed into his lung, immensely painful. With Su Xing's meditative mind lotus seed protecting his body and the Wisdom King chant's powerful corporeal body, he was only barely able to blink. Su Xing then opened his mouth and fired the rock-piercing water droplets. It was regrettable that his flying swords had lost their spiritual power and were incapable of use for the time being, otherwise, he could not be cutting such a sorry figure. Mu Jiu's dagger cut down the rock-piercing water droplets. She stared at Su Xing, this time, not in a hurry to attack. This leader star is not your star general. Why did you rescue her? Mu Jiu gloomily said. If it was not for Su Xing's body block just now, her departing just now would have pierced through the resourceful strategist's lungs and made her fall into the star nest. But how could Mu Jiu expect that the Purple Thunder monster would go against common sense and surprisingly protect her? In Mu Jiu's reckoning, this was simply unreasonable. She had thought that Su Xing grabbed the resourceful strategist to use as a meat shield. A fleeting emotional reaction flickered in Zhu Sha's eyes, but it very quickly vanished. The woman recovered her stone-faced expressionlessness. Her hand pointed, and she used her yellow technique, Mountains and Rivers Array. 3. The 5 elements weather banner flapped, surrounding Mu Jiu. How could this yellow technique trap Mu Jiu? The assassin leapt high, then descended like a vulture, her daggers like talons, showing her abilities. What she said is right. You and I are total strangers. Quickly put me down. Zhu Sha said. Without her, Su Xing clearly would be more free. I have my own ethics. Su Xing coolly said. Not being able to save little Huang already made him exceptionally distressed, and then to see Zhu Sha die would always be impossible for him. After all, she also had taken action for his sake against the third-generation Star General. Hey! Mu Jiu's body techniques were swift as lightning, her double daggers stabbing out a ray of cold light. Just at this moment, a dragon-like yet also phoenix-like cry came from the sky. A giant shadow descended from the heavens, and a mocking voice sounded out, "This man does not understand romance. Elder sister and this general should spend some loving time together." Mu Jiu raised her head and looked. A dragon-like and phoenix-like star beast spread its wings and swooped down upon her, sizzling spirit flames spurting out. Void Dragon False Phoenix. The investigative star charged forth to face it, crossing her double daggers. Dagger chi shot in all directions, constricting the Void Dragon False Phoenix. Dong Junqing was taken aback and retracted her frivolous expression. She dodged away, and the Void Dragon False Phoenix was slain by Mu Jiu. You quickly go rescue her. This was the first time she was embraced by a man. Evidently, even if Zhu Sha was somewhat not unrestrained, to be frank, her tone did not have her normal stiffness. You quickly leave. Su Xing did not hesitate at all. In midair, Mu Jiu spied Dong Junqing. Her eyes were gloomy, and then she turned to attack. However, along the way, she was already intercepted by Su Xing, heaven-shaking stillness hand. Su Xing's palm swept over. The purple mansion Immortal Thunder became a giant palm that swatted at Mu Jiu. The top-notch assassin ignored this attack and suddenly vanished before Su Xing's eyes. Su Xing's hands pinched together, forming a giant purple thunder net. Rip! The thunder net tore open, and a black shadow appeared. What a troublesome assassin! Su Xing was being suppressed to the point he could not catch his breath, but Dong Junqing, who had lost her virginity, was completely powerless to escape. He could only defend her front, to stall for as much time as possible. Hey! A shout like breaking snow broke up from the ground. Lin Yingmei finally rushed over. No matter the time, she was always the one person that Su Xing's heart was most relieved over. The majestic star's Arctic Star Serpent Spear hacked downwards. The ice-cold killing intent on the spear swept extremely quickly, directly knocking Mu Jiu aside. Then, her beautiful figure dashed and attacked Mu Jiu. Although she did not have the majestic star's level of martial force, any way it was put, Mu Jiu had a realm that the Lin Yingmei in front of her did not. The assassin caught her attack without being lenient. Humph! Mu Jiu's double daggers caught the spear. Immediately afterwards, the assassin flashed away, disappearing and then reappearing. She broke away from Lin Yingmei's attack range. An assassin's attacks eternally drifted, incapable of refinement. Very quickly, she suddenly appeared beside Su Xing, her weapon just like a fish back in water, a butterfly fluttering through a garden. At the same time, with her wrist as the center, a swift and powerful arc of wind suddenly appeared, shooting out with frightening speed. The incorporeal force became substantive. Su Xing's body slightly rocked. She once again approached with high speed. He had barely avoided that oppressive dagger tip, but an even more slimmer dagger shadow already covered him. Completely soundless, the attack was hidden like this. Su Xing's figure immediately recoiled backwards, but the dagger in front of him followed him like a shadow. Those glinting lights surprisingly accelerated the instant they throbbed. Mu Jiu surprisingly could still maintain this speed while attacking. This was completely outside of Su Xing's expectations. Under an attack like this, Su Xing could only dodge at the last moment. The two were locked in a pursuit, moving like the swift wind. After several moments, there unexpectedly was no place to retreat. Bang! A light arrow that carved open space passed between Su Xing and Mu Jiu, cutting off the assassin's finisher. Hua Wanyue drew her bow from afar. Although this arrow was ordinary and unremarkable, it succeeded in giving Mu Jiu an obstruction. Then, a cool and elegant silhouette suddenly appeared beside Mu Zihiu. Wuxia also used all of her strength. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus slashed. Mu Jiu had only just caught Wuxia's sword when a pinprick of cold light descended like a star. Lin Yingmei had very quickly rushed over. Lin Yingmei and Wuxia coordinated their attacks, and there was also the hero star Hua Wanio fired arrows from behind. Against the perfect teamwork of three top-notch martial generals, even Mu Jiu was unable to last. She could only barely ward off the blows. After all, she was an assassin. In a direct confrontation, Mu Jiu began to grow conflicted. Without hesitating any further, she grit her teeth and suddenly spun around. She abruptly disappeared in midair. Her daggers whistled sharply through the air. With an ear-piercing clang, at some unknown time, Mu Jiu had completely wielded her superb combat level. Her battle strength was aroused, and she suddenly already cut apart all of the attacks by Lin Yingmei and Wuxia's weapons. Mu Jiu then withdrew. As her star master, Xuanla Feifei currently had not appeared. Evidently, she was being held up. Investigative star, you have already been exposed. Why not end things here? Lin Yingmei gripped her spear in one hand, sternly speaking. Mu Jiu looked around at the star generals present. In the end, her gaze fixed onto Su Xing. The woman used a soft, sing-songy and graceful tone to say, "You all can see the foolishness of your own star master. He surprisingly would protect star generals and not his own. Is such a star master worthy of your companionship?" How could she have expected that Lin Yingmei and Wuxia would instead smile? "Humph, you are star generals in the star duels, yet you act impetuously. Today, allow Jiu to give you all a lesson." Mu Jiu's arms spread open. She took several deep breaths, her towering chest rising and falling indefinitely like waves. She continued her breathing, her daggers hovering, gently entering her grip. The tranquility was somewhat frightening. "Not good, this is a heaven rank technique." Dong Junqing shouted. Heaven rank. Su Xing was stunned. Lin Yingmei, Wuxia, quickly stop her. You absolutely cannot allow her to use her heaven rank technique. Dong Junqing extremely urgently screamed. All of the star generals instinctively sensed the might of a heaven rank. In Liangshan Continent's records, they could shake all under heaven when they appeared. A heaven rank technique could only be withstood by a true Phoenix Realm star general. If they allowed Mu Jiu to use her heaven rank, the consequences would be unthinkable. You quickly leave. Dong Junqing hastily shouted. No can do. How could Su Xing let Lin Yingmei and the others go? Endless murderous intent began to surge, flowing about Su Xing's surroundings. Mu Jiu's heaven rank was in the middle of charging, but it surprisingly had such powerful strength. Once used, it was unimaginable just how terrifying it would be. Lin Yingmei and Wuxia promptly wanted to stop her. A heaven rank technique's greatest flaw was perhaps that it required a very long charge time in order to focus the star general's star energy. During this time, the star general was very weak. But Mu Jiu's figure had suddenly vanished, moving in the surrounding shadows. Without a sensory star general, there was no way they could discern her location. There has never been a person who could escape Mu Jiu's heaven-rank assassination. Murderous intent fills mountains rivers. Purple thunder monster, guess who will be the first to die this time? Mu Jiu's leisurely voice echoed in empty space, her killing intent everywhere. I'm guessing it's you. Suddenly, the flaring murderous intent was doused by ice water. The shadows gathered together, and Mu Jiu suddenly appeared out of thin air. The girl stared in disbelief at a dagger that had pierced straight through her chest. This dagger was sudden and completely unforeseen. Even Su Xing and Lin Yingmei did not react in time. Little sister, Mu Jiu's voice shuddered. She turned her head back to see Guardian Star little restrained Mu Duing's cold eyes. Mu Duing. Su Xing thought he was seeing things. That airhead assassin that he remembered surprisingly appeared suddenly to end the investigative star's heaven-rank assassination. Mu Jiu had actually already sensed that Mu Duing was nearby, but her deeply conservative thinking made Mu Jiu feel that Mu Duing was perhaps thinking of finding an opportunity to assassinate the Purple Thunder monster. It was not incorrect for her to think this. The Purple Thunder monster's strength was immense. Any Star Master or Star General could be considered an overlord if they killed him. From the perspective of Mu Duing's contract-less power, there was not time to wait. So Mu Jiu allowed Mu Duing to draw near, even use her voice to distract Su Xing, but the investigative star never imagined this dim-witted assassin's objective was actually herself. Hearing Su Xing's shout, Mu Jiu suddenly had the realization, this Purple Thunder monster truly was abnormal. It turned out that he had all along even bewitched the Guardian Star. Very good, this is what a true assassination is. Mu Jiu's killing intent dispersed. She dropped her daggers and wore a satisfied expression. As a top-notch assassin, she had to maintain absolute vigilance at all times. This was the final lesson she could teach. Ah, sorry, elder sister Jiu. Mu Duing seemed as if she had awakened from a dream. Her grim pupils recovered their normal dim-wittedness. Upon seeing her own daggers poking out of this overlord elder sister, little restrained was startled. She hastily drew out the daggers. This action brought a burst of pain, making Mu Jiu's attempt at a counterattack also finally end. Then, the heaven rank crumbled. Lin Yingmei and Wuxia gave her no chance. With one in front and the other in back, their weapons each pierced through Mu Jiu, and Hua Wanyue's arrow also punched through Mu Jiu's throat. This truly is unsightly, Xuanla, Jiu is unable to help you anymore. Harboring one last thought, Mu Jiu's head drooped, and her true spirit vanished. The third-generation overlords, the two great assassins, immediately ended their quest for revival. Darling Su Xing, you truly flirt everywhere, to have even seduced a guardian star. The limp and powerless Dong Junqing lay on Su Xing's back, her tone frivolous. She sized up Mu Duing. To be honest, the figure of the girl in front of her was not bad, just a bit young. A pair of large eyes with a sort of dull blankness gave her the impression she was airhead. It was to be expected if she had truly been enticed by Su Xing. Wuxia raised her brows when she saw her intimate manner. Dong Junqing, you should be waiting obediently aboard the dragon boat. Su Xing said bluntly. As a Five Tigers general, she was the target of an unknown number of people. Without any energy, she was practically courting death. She was nearly killed by Mu Jiu just now. Dong Junqing ambiguously smiled. Duing, truly, thank you. No need. Mu Duing showed vexation. This lady did not expect that elder sister Jiu would be killed. Originally, this lady only wanted to make elder sister not use her heaven rank, but elder sister seemed unguarded. This lady truly did not intend for that to happen. Wuxia was speechless. In her mind, she said, you are both assassins. She naturally thought you were helping her. Anyone else would have thought the same, especially when Mu Duing had been very obediently receiving Jiu's assassin lessons before this. Heaven knew this airhead assassin would commit such a universally shocking act. Perhaps it was only Mu Duang who did not care for pure benefit that would do such a thing. Lin Yingmei and Wuxia stared at each other. They could not help but greatly increase their favorability towards this little sister in front of them. There is also one Xuanla Feifei. Let's go. Su Xing said. Play upon Mount Yao, Phoenix returns to nest. Flying swords circled around in the air, like tens of thousands of birds returning to the forest, chirping. Ascending and descending, countless flying swords flocked about. The knowledge star resourceful star Wu Xinji blinked, waving her heaven-concealing star's fan. Up until now, Wu Xinjie had not used her earth rank. It was for this moment now that she used her earth rank. The stars have moved. Bright starlight swirled in the sky, knocking back all of the flying swords, making Xuanla Feifei cut an exceptionally sorry figure. Hua Shui used dazzling light mind image, its two eyes glowing with white light as it moved towards Xuanla Feifei. The 8 gates black gold chains slithered like snakes in the air. The dark technique bind silk before rain immediately followed. Everything was within Wu Xinjie's calculations. Xuanla Feifei, who had her flying swords repelled, was bound by the 8 gates black gold chains, like a delicate butterfly ensnared by a giant web. Knowledge Star. How is it that you discovered us? Their loss already determined, Xuanla Feifei instead calmed down. The woman coldly stared at the slightly coquettish Wu Xinjie, indignant. Because she had the Mu's sister assassins, Xuanla Feifei was always accustomed to using assassinations when they were least expected, and this maneuver was time-tested. In the past star duels, Xuanla Feifei often would strike at the moment the enemy was most careless. Even top-notch martial generals were unable to put up a defense. Even Long Fei had died to this, and his 5-tiger general Fiery Thunderbolt Qin Wenjun, too, the strongest star general in that era's star duels, had died. The Xuanla Feifei, who was accustomed to being the hunter, had never imagined she would have a day like this. This is honestly very simple. Wu Xinjie replied matter-of-factly, the Tai spherical heaven form array exposed all star generals, so Xinjie formulated a plan back then. Xuanla Feifei suddenly understood. When the enemy was an assassin, the greatest threat was not her overlord status. Rather, it was the lack of any sign of the assassin, their ability to appear and disappear to execute their assassination, and it was a great taboo for an assassin to be exposed before the assassination. You unexpectedly exploited this array. Xuanla Feifei sighed. All of the star generals had bitterly resisted under the array. While they were seeking a chance to live, this knowledge star was surprisingly thinking of a way to exploit this array to find her whereabouts. Actually, even without this array, Xinjie had planned to take action against you during the banquet. Wu Xinjie softly chuckled. In front of Xuanla Feifei's skepticism, the knowledge star explained, the treasure banquet is Liangshan continent's premier banquet. 3 generations of overlords had revived in Liangshan. It was inevitable they would not miss such a thing. With the exceptional air of their star generals, only a little bit of detailed investigation was needed to reveal them. In other words, when Xuanla Feifei was still planning to kill other, stronger people, her final act had already been decided at this place by the knowledge star. Fairy Xuanla snickered at herself. The knowledge star is truly gracious with her assessment. Fortunately, the 3rd knowledge star was not you, otherwise, this fairy would truly have had no chance. Sister Xinjie, don't waste your breath on her. Shi Yuan waved the puppet banner, summoning the 5 poisons puppet. Xuanla Feifei renounced resistance. She lifted her head to smile at Chao Gai. It seems Maiden Mountain has very big troubles. Boom. Fairy Xuanla left the stage. When Su Xing rushed over, he just happened to catch sight of Wu Xinjie already cleaning up. That Su Xing was unhurt, Wu Xinjie breathed a sigh of relief. Things seemed as she had anticipated. Although she had planned to face the assassin, twin star general assassins were honestly too powerful. Little Huang had killed one at the most, and the remaining one would inevitably be infuriated. However, because of Lin Yingmei, Wuxia, and Hua Wanyue's coordination, things were under control. And the heaven rank problem that Wu Xinjie had worried about most appeared to not have manifested. Now it seems that the purple thunder monster apparently has enormous troubles. When other people caught sight of this scene, low-level cultivators could not see the reason why, but high-level cultivators like Emperor Liang could see clearly. Just a little bit of pondering was needed to understand what was happening. Long Wanxin sighed, feeling this was logical. The purple thunder monster is too mysterious. Up until now, no one has discovered which sect he hails from. To surprisingly contract so many star generals, Maiden Mountain naturally will not let him go. Emperor Liang, you had better remind your daughter to not walk too close to him. Immortal Outside Heaven indifferently said, Maiden Mountain will not let the purple thunder monster go. If they are involved, your daughter perhaps will draw fire to herself. Emperor Liang seemed to ponder. Compared to her earlier warning, this time, Emperor Liang appeared to be not so forthright to allow his daughter to go make her own decisions. Just why these star duels would be so different, we actually are somewhat curious. We should actually investigate clearly just what the purple thunder monster's identity is. If Long Wanxin's tone showed a bit of detachment. The Crystal Dragon Palace had sustained an absurd level of loss and destruction. This master of the Dragon Palace was somewhat contemplating killing the purple thunder monster for emergency relief. However, this was only a thought. She currently felt that she ought to thank the heavens that the purple thunder monster was not demanding her bright moon ring. Long Wanxin's words received their tacit recognition. The Most High Path has mutinied. We must quickly convene an alliance of 10 conference to redesignate the Azure Dragon Territory's 10 sects, to reignite the morale of the Azure Dragon Territory's cultivators. Emperor Liang, what do you feel? Immortal Outside Heaven asked. Then set it for 10 days afterwards. Emperor Liang said. Fine. As the Azure Dragon Territory's top-notch cultivators were negotiating, suddenly at this moment, a scene that stunned countless cultivators occurred. Junqing, why have you come out? Zhao Hanyan looked at Dong Junqing and scolded her. Princess Highness, if it was not for this general, our man would have died together in the name of love protecting the immortal hero Princess Zhu Sha. Dong Junqing licked her chapped lips, embellishing her replies. The Five Tigers General Dong Junqing's phrase, our man, made Su Xing's other wives stupefied. Dong Junqing, what is the meaning of this, huh? When was Su Xing your man, humph? Shi Yuan asked. Darling Su Xing, did you not feel good when this general and princess served you together? Dong Junqing said outright. The Ling Yan princess face turned red. These words honestly were too outrageous. Wu Xinjie's mouth hung open in shock. Young lord, could it be you, it's a long story, and there's a reason. Su Xing promptly explained. Yingmei, Suwen, did you already know? Wu Xinjie blinked. And Suwen's face blushed as she lowered her head. Lin Yingmei grunted in affirmation. Even Wu Xinjie had never imagined that Su Xing would unexpectedly initiate a husband and wife relationship with Dong Junqing. It seemed that she was still too conservative. Humph. Wu Xiao's heart was somewhat uncomfortable, and she turned to leave. Wifey. Su Xing immediately ran after her. Hubby, is something the matter? Wu Xiao expressionlessly said. It seemed she had returned to that coldness that rejected everyone from when they first met. However, for her to still call Su Xing by that hubby they had agreed on earlier, there was still a chance. Su Xing stared at Wu Xiao for a time, not knowing what to say. An apology would clearly hurt Dong Junqing's heart, and not apologizing would generally be taking things too far. If it was Su Xing with the other wives, Wu Xiao would not have minded, but to suddenly hear that he was surprisingly with another Star Master Star General, this sort of sudden shock made her a bit unable to accept this. If there is nothing, your concubine has other matters to attend to. The other sisters will have to look after hubby. Wuxia calmly replied. There is something. Su Xing seriously said. What is that? Wuxia was like a dry well. Xio, marry me. Su Xing was very serious. Wuxia was taken aback. Marry me, for as long as you are willing. Su Xing seized Wuxia's shoulders, drawing the woman over. Wuxia gasped, but Su Xing already lowered his head and kissed her red lips. What? Wuxia's eyes widened. Su Xing passionately kissed her red lips, sucking in her fragrant scent. His hands tightly embraced her, afraid she would leave. His endless feeling spread throughout Wuxia's whole body like an electric current. Wuxia's body went limp, and she moaned, firmly guarding the last bit of logic in her mind. But Su Xing kissed even more intensely. With her saliva and soft lips, he could not help but extend his tongue into the beauty's mouth, wantonly stirring about, unwilling to give up. Wuxia wanted to push him away, yet she found she was unable to resist his tenderness. In her mind, she was at a loss and helpless. For a while afterwards, she was trapped, and then she unwittingly kissed back. It seemed as if she had forgotten the surrounding sisters, the surrounding cultivators' stupefied expressions. These two people seemed to be the only existences in the entire world. Lord husband, Wuxia's heart was increasingly tender. Her slender, white fingers firmly grasped Su Xing's sleeves, and Su Xing hugged even tighter. His intense male qi enveloped her whole body, and when her butt was nearly infringed upon by Su Xing's large hand, her heart could not help but throb. Her jade arms wound like snakes around Su Xing's neck, and her tongue writhed in his mouth like a serpent. Gradually, Wuxia's eyes were increasingly unfocused yet increasingly clear. Wuxia completely fell. Under Su Xing's gentle kiss, she set aside all her burdens. She did not want to think about anything anymore, and her mind held only one thought. Then your concubine shall oblige you. The curtain fell on the banquet. Star crests were engraved on Su Xing and Wuxia's respective foreheads, and a crimson star twinkled in the sky. The Crystal Dragon Palace fell into an unprecedented shock this instant. Nobody had ever imagined that they would see an unforgettable scene at the end of the Crystal Dragon Palace's treasure banquet. Harm Star Wusong has unexpectedly signed a contract. This is the legendary kiss contract of the Star Duel Covenants. Just who is he, to surprisingly receive Wusong? In 9 star duels, nearly 1,000 years, she has never signed a contract. I do not see Lin Chong. Are they all the Purple Thunder Monster star generals? Wusong definitely would follow him, but I never expected she would surprisingly sign a contract now. And to be a kiss contract, this is too abnormal. Countless shuddering voices endlessly echoed in the Crystal Dragon Palace. Not a single person was able to maintain their calm. Even top-notch cultivators like Emperor Liang felt nearly suffocated. Wusong. Harm Star Pilgrim Wusong. Surprisingly signed a 1,000-year contract right before their eyes. Not a single person remained calm, and no one was not envious. Emperor Liang's first reaction was to look at Chao Gai. Thousand Buddha Star Chao Gai showed an odd expression, as if her face was submerged in water. How can these star duels still be fought? That Purple Thunder monster is already treating the star generals as his harem. And they are all top-notch star generals. This is too strange. Amidst the countless discussions, Chao Gai still was as calm as water. The sole other person who maintained calm, Kong Ho, raised her brow when she saw this scene, pursing her lips into a smile as she muttered, "Faint for a millennium must be this." Noble star Little Whirlwind Chai Ling used her feather fan to hide her disdainful expression as she gently bit her red lips, to surprisingly sign a contract in front of everyone under heaven. Humph. This honestly was the style of contract that this palace most wanted. Noble star, you. Gu Tong thought that she had misheard. The noble star's implication clearly said she was willing to sign a contract with Su Xing. Do you not wish to sign a contract with him? Chai Ling teased. Gu Tong shook her head. Chai Ling's smile was even wider. How could she not know what she was worried about? If she truly did not have any yearning for Su Xing, she would have already joined Qingxi's uprising. Gu Tong, do you want to return with this palace? This palace does not wish to watch this any longer. Humph. Master. Mu Qingying gripped her double daggers, emerging from the shadows and walked to Bing Qingshuan's side. Bing Qingxian gazed at that sight that was rare to see in 1,000 years. Although he strained his hardest to feign an expression of coldness, the fury in his eyes nevertheless betrayed his envy. Damn it, why can this purple thunder monster contract Wu Song? Master, do we need to take action? Mu Qingying monotonously asked. There is no chance now. Bing Qingshuan's gaze once again fell on Mu Duang. He coldly said, Qingying, your little sister truly is brain dead. She surprisingly went to help the purple thunder monster. Perhaps she will fall into this monster's clutches sooner or later. Master, what do you want to do? Mu Qingying followed obediently. Let us go. By the time of the 3 heavenly books, we should make the world recognize our might. As you bid. Mu Qingying vanished. Purple thunder monster, humph. This moment lasted as long as a century, yet it also passed as quickly as a second, an instant. When Su Xing finished this passionate kiss, Wuxia had not returned to her senses. She stared at the star crest on Su Xing's forehead, and all sorts of feelings welled up in Wuxia's heart. Breaking the harm star's 1,000-year oath to not sign a contract, Wuxia's heart suddenly had a kind of unprecedented gentleness. As it turned out, breaking that oath was not so severe at all. Lord husband, you have wasted a chance. Wuxia softly said. Your lord husband has never thought of using that kind of chance. Su Xing smiled and said. Wuxia was very fond of Su Xing's self-confidence and could not help but nod her head. Elder sister Xiao, you should have signed a contract long ago. Shi Yuan giggled. You and Su Xing have called each other husband and wife for so long, yet we haven't. Wuxia gazed at Lin Ningmei. Lin Ningmei showed a sincere smile, a kind of expression that had long looked forward to this. Wanyue, hopefully, you can also come together with us and finally end this situation of mutual slaughter between sisters. Wu Xinjie took this chance to entice the nearby dumbfounded Hua Wanyue. Hua Wanyue did not know how to reply. To personally see Wu Xio sign a contract, this sort of blow was even more sudden and left her at an even greater loss than she had imagined. These cultivators are truly noisy. Wu Xio wrinkled her brow, completely recovering her normal harm star domineering aura. Her cold and elegant killing intent spread in all directions, and all conversations immediately froze and faded. Let us talk at some other place. Zhao Hanyan said. I have a place. Su Xing slightly smiled and extended a hand. A bright, full moon's radiance appeared above the crystal dragon palace. Then, a magnificent palace that was hidden in mist vaguely appeared. There was a multitude of halls, piled up with white jade, palaces of cassia trees, bejeweled buildings, flowing waters and wafting mists. When this palace appeared, the crystal dragon palaces remaining originally grandiose and splendid crystal halls immediately paled by comparison, overshadowed. The bright moon longevity palace. Waves of shock made the cultivators present unable to process this scene. This is the legendary longevity palace. You actually obtained it. This princess actually wants to take a look. Zhao Hanyan's eyes lit up. Without any politeness, she grabbed Dong Junqing and flew into the longevity palace. Afterwards, the other girls entered the palace in succession. Su Xing had originally wanted to call Chai Ling, but at this time, Chai Ling and Chao Gai were nowhere to be seen. Do you want to come in? Su Xing asked the dumbstruck whom Yi and Long knew. In any case, they worked together to face Li Taisui. In the future, they perhaps would need to ally again. Are you not afraid that Humi will cultivate the longevity chant from the longevity palace? Humi asked. Your choice. Su Xing was not very concerned. To cultivate the longevity palace's longevity chant would need more than a few days, and there was no threat at all. Humi's eyes rolled, and she thinly smiled. No wonder the Ling Yen princess and immortal hero princess would be so moved by you. As expected, you are generous. Then Humi shall not be modest. Her figure leapt and entered the palace as a purple light. Long Nu initially wanted to decline, however, at this time, her mother's voice entered her mind. Hesitating a moment, she also could not help but have a girl's curiosity and entered the longevity palace. By the time Su Xing went into the palace, the bright moon longevity palace's spiritual power burst, then it immediately vanished from this place. Fortunately, this purple thunder monster wants to ascend Maiden Mountain. With him here, we have no foothold in this place at all. Immortal outside heaven said in displeasure. We also wanted to look at this longevity palace. What a pity that he unexpectedly forgot about us, his father-in-law. Emperor Liang laughed and said. Did you not see the purple thunder monster bribe the purple firmament immortal palace's star master? He is but a meticulous schemer. You had best not be swindled by him. Since he is participating in the star duels, what need is there for us to go worry about him? Emperor Liang paused. He said profoundly to the two of them, so long as they can obtain the heavenly book, do you honestly care just who the overlord of the star duels is? Immortal outside heaven and Long Wanxin were silent. To be frank, we have also racked our brains for schemes. Continuous and unending spiritual power covered the entire palace. Even if they did not circulate their qi, they could clearly sense the pulsations in their bodies. Zhao Hanyan and Gong Kaiwei did not hesitate to begin harmonizing themselves. Humi and Long Nu were slightly hesitant. This place was the purple thunder monster's domain. If while they were harmonizing he suddenly acted against them, they would not be able to run. Humi arrived in front of an immense stone slab. Its surface was covered in tadpole-sized characters, emitting a golden luster. Upon careful inspection, this was astonishingly the bright moon longevity chant. However, this cultivation method's contents were too massive. She tried to practice it, but it was endless. It would perhaps take many years to be able to memorize it. Humi also tried to record it onto a jade strip, but there was no response at all. No wonder the purple thunder monster was so relaxed. This longevity steel was not simple at all. A few years perhaps amounted to nothing for other cultivators, but to a star master, this was time they did not have. Now that the 3 heavenly books was about to commence, there was already no time to cultivate it. Humi clicked her tongue in regret and explored the other palaces. When she returned, she found that Long Nu had begun to meditate. Therefore, she also harmonized as well. The two of them did not linger in the longevity palace for too long. Their relationships with Su Xing were not deep like Zhao Hanyan and Gong Kaiwei's were. To stay for too long would instead be a bit strange. The next day, they took their leave from the longevity palace. On this day, just as Su Xing was sparring with Lin Yingmei and Wuxia in martial arts as usual, Zhao Hanyan walked over and asked, Su Xing, what are you preparing to do next? I plan on returning to the Four Styles School. Su Xing thought. The Most High Path has mutinied. The Azure Dragon territory will need to reappoint the Alliance of 10. Will you represent the Four Styles School in battle? If that is truly the case, the Four Styles School will become the Four Styles Path. Zhao Hanyan smiled and said. 2. I'll have to see what Master says. Su Xing was indifferent. Master? Ha, no one in the Four Styles School could exceed your cultivation. To make a supervoid cultivator, call a supercluster cultivator, senior, who in the world would do such a thing? Once a teacher, always a teacher. Su Xing was undisturbed. This princess man is outstanding, as expected. After they chatted a while, Gong Kaiwei and Zhu Sha also approached, preparing to take their leave. The coming 3 heavenly books was about to begin. All star masters would begin to prepare for this last phase that they could bolster their strength in, and this stage was what all sects placed the most importance upon. Zhao Hanyan and Gong Kaiwei would also need to prepare. Immortal Hero Princess, do you know where we can obtain 10,000-year black ice? Wu Xinjie suddenly recalled the matter of Su Xing's water element flying swords. The Heavenly Ice Holy Palace was situated in the coldest place in the Azure Dragon territories north. As the Extreme Ice Holy Palace's disciple, she perhaps would know something. Are you forging the water element flying sword? Gong Kaiwei asked. Li Taisui is very strong, so I wanted to take this chance to completely forge the 5 elements flying swords as early as possible. Su Xing calculated. By the time he forged the sword array of the Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 element swords, he would somewhat have a chance facing Li Taisui. It seems you still lack the fire element. Zhao Hanyan said. For the fire element, I have a Vermilion Jian map. I'm preparing to go look in the White Tiger territory. I should be able to find something. You are honestly exceptional. The Heavenly Spirit Earthly Fiend Purple Star 5 elements flying swords will be able to be truly forged. Dong Junqing twitched her mouth. It was an ancient sword chant, and he also had top-notch star generals. If it was not for Dong Junqing knowing Su Xing's background, she would not believe such a star master would unexpectedly rely on his strength alone to do this, even if she was to die. I will ask Master on your behalf. However, with the 3 heavenly books about to begin, we will be fighting for time. Gong Kaiwei said with misgivings. 3. The White Tiger territory and Azure Dragon's extreme north were practically at opposite sides. Going to and from, the 3 heavenly books would have already begun, leaving considerably little time. We'll see later then. When the time comes, your concubine can go help Lord Husband obtain the 10,000-year black ice. Wu Xiao calmly answered. 10,000-year black ice. Perhaps even the Harm Star Pilgrim would not have such an easy time obtaining it. Zhao Hanyan shook her head. Ask first, then we'll see. Su Xing also knew that the 10,000-year black ice's environment would be extremely vile, and he did not want to make Wu Xiao take risks. I know. Gong Kaiwei was quiet. The light of daybreak fell into the serene forest. Birdsong and flower fragrance filled the air, and the grass stirred with the blowing wind. A young woman dressed in a simple and elegant long skirt trailing the ground currently sat in front of a hut in the forest. A drawing board was set on her knee, and the ink painting was tenderly outlined stroke by stroke. On the portrait was a man and a woman. The man embraced his female counterpart, lowering his head in a passionate kiss, and the female's long black hair was rendered by the female painter with the utmost care, fanned out like a waterfall, considerably graceful as it was drawn from a deep to a light shade. The woman shut her eyes, showing an intoxicated expression. Under the young woman's brush strokes, the portrait was lifelike, vividly portrayed. It made a viewer unable to help but feel envy for the man able to embrace the beauty. AI. Su Yixiao stopped painting and gazed at the portrait, spellbound. In her mind, she could not help but recall that extremely legendary scene in the Crystal Dragon Palace. Under everyone's stares, he signed the most sublime kiss contract with the star general Wu Song, and only he was able to do such a thing. Just what sort of person is the Purple Thunder Monster? Su Yixiao also remembered Lin Yingmei and Hua Wanyue. They similarly served the Purple Thunder Monster as beauties on his left and right hand sides. Yixiao, your painting approaching closer and closer to perfection. A young woman in a green, 100-pleat skirt stood nearby, quietly smiling, like a valley orchid. Her slender white fingers stroked the painting. The figures in the painting seemed to come alive under her tuff. Only one person in the world could possess such absolutely beautiful hands, sacred-handed scholar Xiao Qinyan. Yixiao, has he won you over? Xiao Qinyan said. Su Yixiao gently said, Qinyan, could it be that you are not curious? Why martial generals like Wu Song, Lin Yingmei, and Hua Wanyue would follow him? Even the strength star stands on his side, and there is also the Ling Yan princess. Xiao Qinyan nodded. Indeed, this sort of matter could not be found even if one was to overturn every annal of the star record, but was such a thing important? His star generals increasing in number merely indicated that the situation for the other star masters was growing increasingly difficult. From the perspective of worldly people, in the 1,000 years of star duels, Wu Song signing a contract is beginning to already be meaningless. Xiao Qinyan indifferently described the painting. With the final stroke, the life-managing black bamboo wolf brush drew a line of purple vapor that dispersed the man and woman in the painting like smoke. Does the Purple Thunder monster not have another nickname, Purple Thunder Saint? Yixiao believes he must have some special trait that can allow Lin Yingmei to follow him. Qinyan, could it be you do not have faith in the majestic star's judgment? Xiao Qinyan did not have an answer. Little sister Yixiao, you must not be fooled by the Purple Thunder monster. A voice said from inside the hut. A girl dressed in light blue palace garb walked out, and beside her was a gentle girl in a blue and white skirt and shirt. Elder sister Chuha, have you traded blows with the Purple Thunder monster before? Su Yixiao asked. N. This man practices some unknown evil cultivation method. You cannot be in contact with him for too long. Chuha personally witnessed the head of the 5 tiger generals' brave star fall prey to this evil magic. She betrayed her own contractor and fell into the endless abyss. Sikong Chuha coldly said. Su Yixiao was shocked. As I thought. Xiao Qinyan said this was logical. Little sister and I once sought him out because we believed in the majestic star, yet we were nearly killed. Mentioning her little sister, Sikong Chuha showed grief. Elder sister, please save your grief. Su Yixiao consoled her. However, the Purple Thunder monster is so ostentatious that all the star masters in the 7 stars assembly will surely unite against him. Sikong Chuha said, little sister has also seen it. Against Li Taisue's might, the Purple Thunder monster is no match. In the future, he will inevitably suffer a calamity, and it seems Maiden Mountain and Chao Gai seek trouble with him. We cannot associate with him any further, so as to avoid bringing our own doom. Xiao Qinyan nodded, agreeing with Sikong Chuha's perspective. Su Yixiao retracted her previous sentimentality, slightly smiling, elder sister be at ease, Yixiao also understands. Right, is Tai Shuwang all right? After the Crystal Dragon Palace, Su Yixiao and Sikong Chuha brought the heavily injured Tai Shuwang away to this forest to recuperate. His injuries are too severe. Right now, he is relying on Pei Caishuan's star energy feedback support to persist. Sikong Chuha wrinkled her brow. Tai Shuwang had been slammed by Xiang Qinxing's true body, shattering his whole body's meridians. To live through that was a stroke of luck. Although they had used many medicines after the matter, he would still need a length of time to recover. In any case, we work together. Su Yixoa forced a smile although the teamwork between the 3 of them was no match for a single heavenly spirit star general. Little sister Yixiao, Chuha sees that your identity has some noble background, presumably not simple. Chuha wonders which house you hail from. I am a commoner, there is no house. Su Yixiao shook her head. Sikong Chuha was not forceful when she saw the girl was not willing to answer. Then what plans does little sister Yixiao have next? Su Yixiao pondered. The 3 heavenly books was about to begin, and returning to manager her in was no longer possible. Elder sister, what plans do you have? Originally, Chuha and little sister were planning to go to the White Tiger territory to find Heaven Earth Stone Iron, but now, little sister has taken her leave first, and Chuha is suddenly left at a loss of what to do. Heaven-earth shears. Su Yixiao had heard of a spirit treasure that apparently required psychic communication. The higher the mutual understanding, the stronger the heaven-earth shears became. The Sikong sisters were twins, so their tacit understanding was naturally unspoken. Little sister Yixiao, how about we team up? The situation of the star duels is unstable. You and I have good rapport, and I wish to forge this heaven-earth shear with little sister Yixiao. Sikong Chuha tidied her bereaved mood and asked. Su Yixiao asked the sacred-handed scholar, Qinyan, what do you feel? Xiao Qinyan still sketched a new painting and did not lift her head. Everything is your own decision, Yixiao. Su Yixiao looked at Sikong Chuha's genuine friendliness and the always gentle expression in Shan Menger's eyes. Su Yixiao felt no feelings of revulsion towards them. Then Yixiao is indebted to elder sister Chuha's kindness. Su Yixiao gracefully bowed. Thank you, little sister Yixiao. Sikong Chuha excitedly clasped Su Yixiao's hands, leaking tears of joy. Let us set out at once. Chuha feels this trip to the White Tiger territory is a good opportunity to scout information about the demon kin, to find out just what these demon kin star masters are. Fine. And what about that man? The silent until now general of sacred water Shan Menger blinked her tender and leisurely eyes. As if she had heard their conversation, a woman with black armor and a black face veil looked at them from the window. Little sister Kaixian, you will have to look after your master. Give him a message for us. If fate would have it, may we meet again at the Seven Stars Assembly. Sikong Chuha slightly smiled. Kaixian understands. The woman's voice was cold and stiff, but there was gratitude. For Styles School. The star-riding dragon boat drew a river of stars as it descended above Fire Eastern Island. Before it could enter the island, they were stopped by a pair of male and female nebula stage cultivators. This place is the Four Styles School's territory. We ask that senior announce your name. The female cultivator deferentially cupped her fist in a salute. Sensing the powerful aura emanating from the dragon boat, the two cultivators were already breaking out in a cold sweat, their fists tightly clenched. Senior Sister Yenyu, it's me. It has been a long time, I trust you have been well. The dragon boat's canopy was pulled open, and an elegant man walked out onto the deck while an expressionless girl followed behind him. The female cultivator was taken aback when she saw the man, but then she was pleasantly surprised. Junior brother Su Xing, junior sister Lianxin, they were exactly Su Xing and Tang Lianxin. Long time no see, junior brother. I heard that junior sister Hongxue said that junior brother presented the headmaster with a life-extending flat peach. The entire staff was discussing about junior brother Su Xing. Yang Yenyu showed an expression of wonder, her eyes full of adoration as she looked at Su Xing life-extending flat peach, Liangshan continent's holy fruit. It was surprisingly gifted to the headmaster. Who would have been so generous, especially a star master? The junior brother Su Xing in front of her honestly was somewhat mysterious. Yang Yenyu carefully looked and noticed that while Su Xing's aura was introverted, it exhibited a powerful pressure. Clearly, his cultivation was already unfathomable. It was useless in my hands, anyways. Su Xing did not mind. Junior brother Su Xing, you must not know, many of the sect's senior and junior sisters have asked Yenyu about junior brother. Yang Yenyu smiled and said. Su Xing also smiled. Before, he did not spend much time in the Four Styles School. The lone person he got along with was Yang Yenyu. Yang Yenyu herself perhaps never thought that ordinary man from back then would ever soar into a realm where the life-extending flat peach did not mean much. Recalling that as if it was yesterday, she sighed. Su Xing and Yang Yenyu chatted for a while until Tang Lianxin tugged Su Xing's sleeve to remind him. Only then did they end their chat. Headmaster has already given orders that if junior brother Su Xing returned to the sect, he must personally be notified. He wants to welcome you himself. No need. I am only a youngster. Su Xing shook his head. Then, he guided the star riding boat straight to the main hall. Seeing that faraway back, Yang Yenyu let out a sigh of regret. Junior sister, could it be that you have also fallen in love with junior brother Su Xing? The male cultivator guarding the island alongside her inquired. Yang Yenyu hardly concealed her attraction. Junior brother Su Xing has changed greatly now. How can Yenyu dare reach above herself? Star masters are just incredible. I never thought that in such a short time, Su Xing's cultivation would be nearly the same as the headmaster's. We could cultivate for a lifetime and still not know whether or nor we could even reach this realm. Nearly the same as the headmaster's. Yang Yenyu shook her head. Senior brother, you have guessed incorrectly. Junior brother Su Xing is already supervoid. What, supervoid stage? The male cultivator was shocked. The Azure Dragon Territory's #1 star master Xie Jinyuan is supervoid. Could it be that junior brother Su Xing is an even greater genius than Xie Jinyuan? Maybe so. In short, Yenyu could never match up with him. The man was somewhat envious, truly remarkable. Fortunately, star masters must ascend Maiden Mountain. If every person received a chance at the star duels, if they did not fight to the death to go to Maiden Mountain, just what is Maiden Mountain, to be so powerful, to surprisingly be capable of so easily allowing an ordinary cultivator transform into a dragon? Perhaps that is the legendary star world. The man suddenly recalled something and his eyes lit up. Since junior brother Su Xing, senior has already reached supervoid, and the headmaster is nearly about to break through to supervoid stage, does this mean that our 4-style school will have 2 supervoid cultivators? Then in this time's Alliance of 10 conference, the 4-style school has a hope of entering into the 3 palaces and 4 sword sects. As their former 9 dragons great sect had declined for so long, were they finally able to stage a comeback? Yenyu fears you are thinking too much. Yang Yenyu gently shook her head. In this Alliance of 10 conference, the headmaster perhaps will not attend. The headmaster will not attend this Alliance of 10 conference. Su Xing was considerably surprised when he heard Zhu Yueka's answer. Ever since the Alliance of 10 was formed in the Azure Dragon territory, countless sects sustained heavy injuries for this reason as they strive to obtain a position in the Alliance of 10. To become one of the Azure Dragon's Alliance of 10, no matter the sect's location in the Azure Dragon territory, they would receive promotion as well as every sort of salary that was beyond normal levels. For example, the Most High Path, head of the Azure Dragon territory's sects, enjoyed every sort of benefit. The 4 heads of the 4 spirit peaks thought the same as Su Xing. Senior Su Xing, you must advise the headmaster. This is but a heaven-bestowed opportunity for a resurgence of the 4-style school. Fire Spirit Peak's chief, Wan Hongda, solemnly used this honorific. He is right. Not only can this Alliance of 10 conference redetermine the Azure Dragon territory's 10 sects, every property under the Most High Path's name will be redistributed. If we miss this, that will be too pitiful. Senior Su Xing, please advise the headmaster. Yes, Senior Su Xing has been greatly favorable to this sect. The headmaster will definitely listen to you. The group of leaders each anxiously urged Su Xing. After the Crystal Dragon Palace, the Azure Dragon territory's #1 Most High Path could be said to be that only in name. Although the Most High Path still had numerous powerful supercluster late stages standing guard, 3 of its 4 great elders had already died, and the remaining Northern Darkness has Fish had capitulated to the White Tiger's demon kin. Now, there were even rumors in the Azure Dragon territory that cultivators on the level of Emperor Liang were preparing to break down the Most High Path's power. One thing for sure was that in the Alliance of 10 conference, the clear void Most High Path of old would inevitably be expelled. Senior, there is no need to be so polite with your servant. Just call my name. Su Xing said, as for the Alliance of 10 conference, I will speak with the headmaster, but I heard that to enter the Azure Dragon territory's 10 sects, there is a requirement of one Super Void cultivator guarding the sect in order to join the 4 sword sects. Su Xing remembered that the 4 Styles School's highest headmaster Daoist Master Xian Tian was no more than supercluster late stage. Zhu Yueka slightly smiled. This is due to your life-extending flat peach, Su Xing. Not only has it saved the headmaster's life, it has allowed the headmaster to break through the supercluster late-stage bottleneck. This is not unforeseen. In 2 days, the headmaster can leave seclusion. So this was the case. Su Xing understood. However, Master, why does the headmaster not want to attend the Alliance of 10 conference? Is this not a good opportunity? It is because of Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom. Zhu Yueka shook her head. What is happening with the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom? Do you remember when you first entered the school, Master mentioned to you matters concerning the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom? Su Xing nodded. The Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom had a very famous ghost martial cultivator who was unmatched. The deepest thing in his memory was that Fire Eastern Island was situated at the throat of the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom's route into the Azure Dragon territory. Because of this, only the 4 Styles School persisted after the destruction of the ancient 9 Dragons' great sect. Can it be that the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom wants to seize a chance to invade the Azure Dragon territory during this turmoil? Su Xing pondered and actually thought that this was possible. The White Tiger's demon kin appearing on stage made the Most High Path's #1 ancestral master defect. If they truly eyed the Azure Dragon territory like a tiger eyes its prey, it was not impossible they would ally with the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom to invade while the Azure Dragon territory was still at the end of its rope. The Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom specially cultivates in a type of Ghost Path Sword chant. Zhu Yueka said, some time ago, the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom's ghost chi suddenly magnified, and the 4 Styles School particularly sensed it. This clearly demonstrates that the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom has someone that cultivated the Ghost Path sword art to its peak. This is a dangerous sign. And I have investigated that several island nations around the 1,000 li of the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom have nearly 100 black warships. I fear that the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom is already finished preparing. And, the Ghost Path sword chant's completion is but a catastrophe. Several dozen years ago, the Ghost Cavalry King led a slaughter in all directions, and in the end, he was sealed thanks to Emperor Liang's plan. The other heads spoke in deep worry. So the headmaster has ordered the 4 Styles School to enter seclusion for the next few months, to guard Fire Eastern Island with full power. There is no possibility to join the Alliance of 10 conference. Senior Yueka, Honda shall say this. If the 4 Styles School can become one of the Azure Dragon's 10 sects, then protecting Fire Eastern Island can be much easier. Once the Ghost Path Sword Saint appears, our 4 Styles School will be in an inauspicious position. With just us alone, it will be difficult to resist them. But if we go attend the Alliance of 10 conference, the Ghost Kingdom can seize the gap to invade. The 4 Styles School will suffer a disastrous drowning. The headmaster cannot bear this loss. As the group argues, Su Xing was continually in deep thought after he heard Zhu Yueka's words. Su Xing, what do you think? Zhu Yueka could see that Su Xing was thinking and believed he had an idea. Headmaster's worries are logical, but not attending the Alliance of 10 conference is nevertheless a bit regrettable. Su Xing said. Zhu Yueka sighed, Master understands. The Alliance of 10 conference is held once every 50 years. There were changes this time only because of the Most High Path's betrayal, and senior brother Xian Tian has finally entered Super Void stage. Next time, who knows what changes there will be. Exactly. Junior brother Su Xing is also Super Void cultivation. If you can help take action for our sect, the 4 Styles School can possibly become the 4 Styles Palace. Wan Hongda restrained his excitement. This was why they were so determined to go attend the Alliance of 10 conference. To have the 4 Styles School encounter another peerless genius Super Void cultivator was simply once in a century. If this is the case, I can introduce my wife. Her cultivation has also reached super void, and she can lend headmaster a hand. Su Xing thought of Shiyu. For the Four Styles School to manifest 3 super void cultivators, even across the Azure Dragon territories 10 great sects, this was a rare sight. Everyone was delighted, not daring to believe this as they asked, does junior brother Su Xing actually have a super void cultivator wife? I shall go back and speak with her. Su Xing nodded. The seniors present cupped their fists in worship, and even Ju Yueka felt lightheaded. As far as the Four Styles School was concerned, to have 2 super void cultivators emerge in an instant nearly made them faint. However, we should still wait for headmaster to emerge from seclusion, then discuss. Ju Yueka calmed down, everything follows headmaster's decision. Disciple understands. After discussing a while longer, Su Xing found an excuse to take his leave first. When he left the main hall, Tang Lianxin was sitting on a stairway, meticulously recording notes. When she heard footsteps, Tang Lianxin rose and welcomed him. Elder brother, what is happening with the Four Styles School? There are things to do, let's go back and talk. Su Xing smiled. He held Tang Lianxin's soft body and used an escape technique, suddenly vanishing from the plaza. Su Xing returned to the place he lived in at the Four Styles School, into the Mirror Flower Stream hut. Lin Yingmei, Wu Xinjie, Wu Xiao, Shiyu, and the others were busy with their own matters. When they saw Su Xing return, they immediately inquired with him. Su Xing then explained the Four Styles Hall situation from beginning to end. Ghost Path Sword Saint. The Four Styles School surprisingly has such a large problem. Shiyu sighed, so long as this wife, too, can help sir, then this wife is duty-bound. Don't worry about this yet. I actually have a plan right now. Su Xing said. Young master, what do you want to do? Lin Yingmei apparently caught on to the scent of danger. I want to take a trip to the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom. Su Xing said. Elder brother, what are you going to the Ghost Kingdom to do? Tang Lianxin was confused. I see you want to act cool and go face the Ghost Path Sword Saint. Hua Wanyue disdainfully twitched her lips. The Ghost Path Sword Saint won't be easy to handle. Rumor is that the Ghost Path Sword Saint cultivated to the limit and possesses an immortal body. Before, the Vermilion Bird Territory's Ghost Cavalry King of the Ghoul clan had cultivated this Ghost Path Sword chant to achieve great renown in the world. The Ghost's God's Bane in his hand was hailed as a divine weapon of the Ghost Path, extremely formidable. Wu Xinjie said. She suddenly thought of something and looked at Su Xing in slight astonishment, blinking. Could it be that young lord is thinking of, that's right. Su Xing confirmed Wu Xinjie's thinking. Because the Ghost Cavalry King's cultivation was greatly diminished, he had finally perished under Yan Yizhen's 3 arrows lethal crossbow, and that Ghost's God's Bane wound up in Su Xing's hands. Originally, Su Xing wanted to cultivate this formidable weapon, but just touching it was like having 10,000 demons devour his soul. He was completely unable to cultivate it and gave up. Now, since he heard that the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom had someone who practiced the Ghost Path Sword chant to its peak, Su Xing wanted to find an opportunity to turn the Ghost's God's Bane to his own use at the same time. Although Su Xing currently possessed the powerful fighting talent of the average star general, unlike a star general, he did not possess a destined star weapon to call his own. In battle, this was a great detriment, and the sword chant formed from flying swords had no way of assuming the functions of normal weapons. Thus, Su Xing wanted to refine this Ghost's God's Bane. Maybe he could not refine an immortal body, but at least he could practice it to perfection. Everyone was deep in thought. In the end, the beauties stared at each other, feeling this was somewhat logical. Then your servant shall accompany young master. No can do, this time, I order you to stay in the immortal's abode and properly recover. Su Xing did not hesitate to decline. The battle at the Crystal Dragon Palace had been a few days ago. Lin Yingmei's battle strength was far from completely recovered, and Su Xing did not want to make the girls too fatigued. Hu Nyangzi said, "To allow dear husband to go to the ghost kingdom alone, Nyangzi is unable to be at ease. Please forgive Nyangzi for this disobedience." N. Lin Yingmei also showed exceptional determination. "Wives, your dear husband is not so useless." Su Xing smiled, "If you insist on going, then I can only give up going to the ghost kingdom." He shook his head, a compromising attitude. Lin Yingmei's heart could not bear this. Having been with Su Xing for so long, how could she not know that Su Xing's personality liked being in the face of danger? Now that he was thinking of giving up an adventure for their sake, the majestic star's heart was choked up. "Allow your concubine to accompany Lord Husband," Wuxia slowly said. Everyone placed their gazes on the cool and elegant pilgrim. Only then did they remember that she and Su Xing signed a 1,000-year contract that day in the Crystal Dragon Palace. Now, this was the perfect situation, and perhaps no one would dare doubt the harm star pilgrim Wu Song's capabilities. Wu Xinjie smiled, "Then let us allow Xiao to accompany Lord Husband." Then, the knowledge star winked ambiguously to the other sisters that wanted to speak. The other sisters understood. Wu Xiao and Su Xing had just signed a contract, and they needed to find time to allow the two of them to adapt to each other alone. Ugh, okay. Sister Xiao and Su Xing signed a contract, let's just treat it as their honeymoon. Shi Yuan stuck out her tongue. "Young lord, how do you feel?" Wu Xinjie smiled. Su Xing knew that ever since the overlords appeared, to allow him to be on his own, the girls would never be relaxed. "Of course there's no problem, but this is a bit unfair to you. As long as young lord remembers us in his heart, that will do. In the future, you must remember to compensate the sisters." Wu Xinjie chuckled. Su Xing thought that he did owe them too much, especially the Shaking who was far away in the Buddha kingdom. After their contract, they had continually not been in contact. Although the time in the star duels was pressing, he still wanted to do something for them. "Xiao, you must properly attend to young lord on our behalf." Wu Xinjie deliberately used a very ambiguous tone when she said, "properly attend." Wu Xiao's face blushed slightly and nodded. Hua Wanyue had originally wanted to say something, but seeing this scene, she knew that her speaking up would only make her an eyesore. And seeing Su Xing talk and laugh with Lin Yingmei and all the sisters, their scene of joy and harmony, suddenly Hua Wanyue felt that she was an extra person. "Wanyue, then I'll leave this place to you." Just as Hua Wanyue was slightly preoccupied, she suddenly heard a resounding voice speak to her. Hua Wanyue returned to her senses. Seeing Su Xing's confidence in her, she could not help but subconsciously nod, "You had best not allow Xiao feel annoyed. I still want to personally fight you." Hua Wanyue coldly snorted, stern. "For the sake of our agreement, Wanyue, I will live not matter what." Su Xing guaranteed seriously. Hua Wanyue nodded, but she immediately thought that this agreement sounded strange. As it turned out, it felt as if they had made a lifelong pledge. Of course, what was even stranger was that hero star Hua Wanyue's heart unexpectedly was not angry like before. She was even somewhat eager. This is not encouraging. Southern Yu Kingdom, Yu Dragon Mountain. The Southern Yu Kingdom was no more than one of the Azure Dragon territory's several dozen small kingdoms. Across the entire Azure Dragon territory, it was not worth any mention. So was the Yu Dragon Mountain. Although the mountain was precipitous, the entire summit was barren, not a single shade of green in sight. The mountaintop was desolate, filled with countless cracks as if it had been cleaved open by a blade, a scene wretched to the eyes. The lust-like summit had a broken palace, covered in dust. There were no signs of life. Occasionally, several figures in brown robes walked by, but they were aimless. The atmosphere was lifeless, and the rustling autumn wind brought an even more desolate feeling whenever it blew by. However, who would have thought that 500 years ago, the U-Dragon Mountain was once one of the Azure Dragon territory's famous mountains, once a famous destination sought by countless cultivators, once filling the U-Dragon Mountain only yearning to hear those ancient sermons, and that broken palace had vestiges of magnificence, evidence of that senior 9 dragon's glory. This was that U-Dragon Hall that the Azure Dragon territory had once acclaimed as the Azure Dragon. And upon mention of the Azure Dragon, U-Dragon Hall's legendary flourish and decline, the folk living at the foot of the mountain even now would still sigh in lament. After the Star Duels began, the contracts of the Star Duels changed the situation of the Azure Dragon territory's cultivators. Countless sects began to seek a chance in the Star Duels to turn a sparrow into a phoenix. The ancient Senior 9 Dragon's great sect thus began its sudden and devastating decline. Although the U-Dragon Hall spared no effort, even with a genius during the 4th Star Duels, one Star Master who was able to contract 2 stars, he was unable to change this fate. By the time of the 5th Star Duels, it had finally withered. The U-Dragon Mountain's spiritual power had been eaten clean away by countless cultivators. In the end, it had fallen into a barren state. Although the U-Dragon Hall disciples that came after felt nostalgia, returning to these grounds to establish the U-Dragon School, they were like many other small sects, merely prolonging their dying gasp. Star Duels, Year 980. On this day, a ray of green light descended from the horizon and landed at the foot of U-Dragon Mountain. When the green light receded, 3 figures appeared. The middle was a man, and his body was somewhat large, with a bit of belly drooping down. The man appeared ordinary, but his small eyes beamed from ear to ear, making people feel he was very straightforward. He was draped in a beautiful and embroidered full-body Azure Dragon robe, colored yellow with dark markings. The color and luster were dark and gloomy, circulating magic energy. Unexpectedly, there was the shadow of a dragon coiled around his surroundings. This felt like a magic weapon with profound magic energy, but if one had delved deeply into the study of the Azure Dragon territory's secret rumors, this would be an enormous shock. This robe was astonishingly the long-lost robe that allowed the U-Dragon Hall to be famous for a time, the yellow gown of coronation. There were 2 women flanking the fat man. Compared to the bland appearance of the fat man, these 2 women could be said to be moving beauties. The left-hand side woman was very young, about 15 or 16 in age and wearing very plain white clothes. She had no accessories, like a common peasant, but her unadorned attire nevertheless gave the woman a sort of simple beauty, just like the faint fragrance of ocean cherry apples. The woman's figure was delicately outlined by her white garb, revealing a young girl's immaturity. Compared to her, the woman on the man's right was the exact opposite. Her head wore a red tasseled official's cap, and her body wore a blue skin-tight shirt and skirt. The skirt was wide on both sides, splitting towards the ends, revealing her shoulders and golden inner breastplate. Her skirt had exquisite embroidery and had every kind of long ribbon. This outfit was arranged in a complex manner. She was like an heavenly immortal descended into the world from a painting. She had a pair of dazzling eyes, decorated with long eyelashes. That tall and straight nose in the center of her face was very attractive. She had cherry lips, small and delicate, a glossy red like blood. What was amazing was the woman's slender jade legs. She did not wear boots, but her snow-white legs were protected by white skin-tight leggings. Her hands were similarly magnificent, with a vaguely gem-like quality. Under the sunlight, she appeared translucent, lustrous to the eyes. From far away, she was like a high fairy descended into the world. Old pig, too, is Qingshang blind? The beautiful, fairy-like woman blinked her blue and clear eyes, wrinkling her brow. Big brother, this is not the place, is it? The plain and simple girl gazed at the far-off U-Dragon Mountain. The man that was called Old Pig and Big Brother narrowed his already small eyes, no mistake. Qingshang, 3, Fenghua, this is U-Dragon Mountain's U-Dragon Hall. Really? Fenghua still felt that no matter what, the mountain before her eyes was very desolate, practically the complete opposite of what she remembered. It looks like something misfortunate happened. Qingshang surmised. Let us go inside and look. Old Pig's eyes contained coldness as he walked up the mountain. Fenghua said to Qingshang, Sister Qingshang, what do we do? Whatever Old Pig wants to do, we shall see. Qingshang did not hesitate to harumph. The girl shrugged and had no choice but to follow along. The Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom received its name from ghosts and cherry blossoms, but in the eyes of the Azure Dragon Territory's cultivators it was always an uncivilized and barbaric place. That place cultivated ghost path sword arts similar to the Black Turtle Territories. Ghost martial cultivators were particularly noteworthy, and it was this reason that gave people a kind of negative feeling. In many people's eyes, a place like the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom was as stifling as hell, a place enveloped year-round in a deathly aura. But not entirely. Kyoto. 5. Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom's national capital city. It was constructed imitating the design of the Great Liang's Bian city. There was a castle and pavilions, halls lofty as the mountains, but the difference from Bian city was that Kyoto had planted many cassia trees, willows, and also sakura. The number of sakura trees was astounding. Looking down at Kyoto, the landscape was full of pink. The splendid willows and sakura intersected, planted like woven silk. From Su Xing's perspective, to stroll down a road of sakura with his beloved was just that romantic. Never expected the people of the Ghost Kingdom to be posed as being cultured. Wuxia was beside him, showing a bit of wonder as she looked at the surrounding sakura trees. Su Xing felt deeply the same. However, your servant nevertheless feels this is strange. Your servant heard that the Ghost Kingdom is split into countless vassal states, competing against one another all year long. Apparently, this is not the case. Wuxia was perplexed. Su Xing had also heard Wu Xinjia mention the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom's matters. This long and narrow island nation had always been in endless conflict. The people had no way to get by, so although the Azure Dragon Territory's cultivators disliked the Ghost Kingdom's martial cultivators, they were also content to watch their world burn. However, now it appeared as tranquil as the Great Liang. Perhaps a character like Emperor Liang has appeared and taken rule. Su Xing shrugged. Wuxia felt this was also a possibility. Lord Husband, have you prepared how to take care of this ghost path sword chant matter? Wuxia's thoughts returned to Su Xing. I've already finished planning, however, it's still early right now. Let's the two of us take a stroll. Su Xing tugged Wuxia's hand, allowing no time for explanation as he dashed to every vendor booth along the Kyoto street. Selling steamed buns, delicious sakura buns, a young and cute voice reverberated along the street. Su Xing and Wuxia followed the voice at the same time and spotted a cart along the side of the road. A super cute little girl wearing an apron was holding a steamer basket in one hand while the other held a white pork bun as she shouted out to the street. This street led to Kyoto's famous imperial city and several important forts. There were many travelers, so the girl's business was very bustling. Such a young person, yet she's selling steamed buns. Su Xing was speechless. Just as he was about to step forward and ask a question, he noticed that Wuxia's expression was somewhat pained. Wifey, what's wrong? Wuxia's gaze stared at that no more than 7 or 8-year-old girl, her icy pupils flashing a bit of coldness. She immediately recovered. Nothing. Let's go have a taste. Su Xing dragged Wuxia over in front of the girl. Hee, do you two customers want to buy sakura buns? Freshly made desuyo. 6. The little girl was exceptionally cute, with a pair of big eyes and 2 little pigtails. When she smiled, her cheeks showed a dazzling red hue. Even a porcelain doll could not be this cute. 2. Su Xing smiled. Sakura buns were like other normal large steamed buns, but the buns had a sakura petal's red imprint. Su Xing took a bite, and when it entered his mouth, the flavor actually was pretty good. Wuxia carefully bit, but her gaze still sized up the little girl. What's your name? Is it just you alone? Su Xing asked. I am called Koito, 7, what is customer thinking of doing? The little loli blinked her innocent eyes, making Su Xing suddenly have a sort of feeling of guilt. Where is your family? Su Xing asked her. No can say, you're so young, how can your parents have the heart to leave you on your own? Su Xing wrinkled his brow. Koito's interest is only in selling buns. Koito's eyes widened in offense. Su Xing had never encountered this sort of situation, and he temporarily did not know what to say. Lord husband, there is no need to worry about her. Wuxia softly said. The pilgrim glanced at Su Xing. Su Xing understood tacitly. He glanced at the surroundings and immediately sensed a powerful presence hidden in a corner standing guard here, as if Su Xing only had to act without thinking for that presence to immediately kill him. What made Su Xing pay particular attention was that presence was exceptionally strong. This sort of feeling made Su Xing himself very surprised. With Su Xing's current strength, to give him this kind of powerful feeling was already a very rare thing, and Wuxia was apparently provoked as well. The pilgrim's blood was beginning to stir, her interest piqued. The surrounding people felt pressure, and they already ducked away somewhat in fear. Just at this moment, that dangerous presence suddenly vanished, making Su Xing and Wuxia lose track of it. The two of them looked at each other, thinking they had been mistaken. Customer, Koito has just made this sweetheart bun desuyo. Koito said, presenting a heart-shaped meat bun, are you two married? If so, then Koito shall gift this to you desuyo. The little girl's innocence made Su Xing incapable of refusing. Truly, thanks. If you have any problems, Big Brother will help you. Su Xing stroked the girl's head. Really? Koito's red cheeks were even redder. Su Xing nodded and suddenly whispered, do you want to play hide-and-seek? But Koito still wants to sell steamed buns. Koito thought and shook her head. Su Xing did not expect her to be so dedicated to her work, making him perspire endlessly. After giving them the sweetheart bun, Koito began shouting again, cheerfully hawking her steamed buns. Her little face brimmed with a happy expression. It seemed that selling steamed buns was indeed her interest. Su Xing had originally thought of using her to lure out the owner of that powerful aura. Instantly, he felt somewhat guilty. Su Xing and Wuxia sat to the side and ordered a bottle of wine. As they drank, they watched the little loli's work. However, Su Xing did not forget his own work to monitor information from this place's residents about Kyoto's strongest ghost martial cultivator. As before, top-notch ghost path sword chi appeared in the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom. Then, to take action starting from the strongest sword saint was the simplest method they had. However, the answer Su Xing received gave him a bit of a headache. Kyoto's kendo arenas were simply unsurpassed in number, and the ghost path sword chant schools were even more complex than the Azure Dragon territories, such as Minamoto no Yoshitsun's Kyohachi-ryu, Kamakura-era Jito-ryu, and some Jikishinkage-ryu, Ito-ryu, Yagyu-ryu and more, and there were even some subordinate to Ghost Saint Kakuki. A cultivator's strength could be told at a glance if they cultivated in the Azure Dragon territory, but the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom was the opposite. Perhaps those sword saints had cultivation, but how could the general populace understand this? Discussions about whoever was stronger were of conflicting opinions. Lord husband, there is no need to feel so distressed. We shall directly ask the person themselves when the time comes. Wuxia disapproved. Fine. Su Xing thought. It could not be helped. Huzuan in Iryu spearmanship is here. Ignorant whelp, take this. Yagyu Shinkage Ryu, Mudo Dori. IAI/. I am Yoshioka Seijiro, I have nothing to fear from the greed of someone with a false reputation, watch this. Sword Saint Nabatsuna. Give me your life. Tsobame Geishi. I am Miyamoto Musashi of the Nittanichi Ryu, you shall become a stepping stone upon my path to becoming strong, ha, the cultured Kyoto seemed especially lively these past few days. The several dozen ghost martial paths entrenched in Kyoto had all encountered challenges from a young man. This young man prattled on about finding the ghost path sword saint who had refined the ghost path to its pinnacle. Beside the man was a beautiful woman, stunning the entire city of Kyoto, inciting the envy of countless. The sword masters of each of these training fields each declared bold words, yet the conclusions were total defeats in duels. And immediately afterwards, the publicly recognized strongest ghost martial cultivator in Kyoto, the sword saint possessing the name Kamiyazumi Nabatsuna, was defeated. The name, Ghost Buddha, spread throughout the Sakura of Kyoto. Ghost Buddha. Wuxia could not help but feel that such a name was ridiculous when she heard of it. What an honestly cultured reverence they have. The Su Xing who had spent the last few days turning Kyoto on its head shrugged. To be honest, Kyoto's ghost martial cultivators were indeed very strong, but the difference in cultivation was too great. Even if he did not use supervoid spiritual pressure to restrain them, just by relying on his combat abilities alone, Su Xing was able to easily emerge victorious. Of course, due to using the meditative mind lotus flower in battle, and also not striking the killing blow against those so-called ghost martial swordmasters, this Ghost Buddha title spread like wildfire, known throughout Kyoto. However, none of them could reach the pinnacle of the ghost path. Afterwards, Su Xing consulted with these ghost martial cultivators on the sword chants they trained in, but none of them could match with Ghost's God's Bane. Does Lord Husband truly wish to refine the Ghost's God's Bane? Wuxia stopped her footsteps, turning her head back to stare intently. I wouldn't mind if I could try it, but it's not something I have to do. Su Xing smiled. In actuality, he did this because of Li Taisui. His good fortune prayer mat really was invincible. Even his own 5 elements flying swords cultivated to the limit would be unable to face it. Since any spiritual power magic weapon would be destroyed by the good fortune prayer mat, Su Xing remembered the Ghost's God's Bane. When the time came, he would at least have some room to fight. Actually, Lord Husband need not exhaust himself like this. If we sisters work together, no one will be able to harm Lord Husband. Wuxia's gentle tone made Su Xing's heart bubble with warmth. I know, but in any case, I can't not do anything. He absolutely could not let his hands be tied. This was not Su Xing's style. Wuxia grunted. She asked this only to let Su Xing know that the harm star was capable of protecting her man. Selling steamed buns Su. A delicate voice floated down the street. Su Xing and Wuxia walked over. Like usual, they found a place to sit down and ordered several steamed buns. After coming to Kyoto, this Koito's steamed bun booth had become the place Su Xing frequently rested at. On one hand, he enjoyed Kyoto's culture, and on the other, he could listen for surrounding intelligence. Koito specially made this for you too. Fresh out of the steamer Desuyo. The girl's adorably large eyes brimmed with anticipation. Speaking with her a little while, Su Xing took a bite. The little loli's handiwork was extremely good. He wondered how this steamed bun trap was made. It immediately dissolved upon entering his mouth, and a warmth flowed into his heart, as if he had been reborn. As he ate, Su Xing saw that Wuxia was a bit preoccupied. Xio, what's the matter? Nothing. Wuxia put away her gaze. Su Xing glanced at Koito, and then back at Xio. These past couple days, I've noticed you seem to dislike Koito. No, and your servant cannot put it into words either. Your servant feels that she is not very simple at all. Wuxia's brow locked tight. No one had ever made the pilgrim feel uncomfortable, and ever since they encountered this seemingly innocuous Koito in Kyoto, her heart always had a sort of unshakable unease. Su Xing recalled the powerful presence that was lurked hidden from that day. Afterwards, Su Xing had tried to tail Koito, but he always lost track of her, making Su Xing considerably depressed. In the end, seeing that this little loli truly only had interest in selling steamed buns and baked cakes, he gave up his pursuit. Speaking of Koito, Su Xing also remembered another little loli. That ranked 27th fulfillment star, the buxom Zhu Manxiang. He wondered how that little loli she contracted with in the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom was doing now. Just as Su Xing and Wuxia were appreciating the Sakura. Suddenly, the sound of hoofbeats came from outside the city gates. Several chariots swiftly sped by along the main avenue, and the surrounding commoners fled like birds. The chariots approached directly in this direction, and the man aboard shouted, "Move aside, move aside." Just as the chariot was about to knock into Koito's setup, Su Xing's divine intent moved, and his spiritual power diffused. The bellowing steeds immediately became timid under his spiritual power, turning more docile than rabbits. The samurai on the chariot had been about to angrily curse when he suddenly spotted Su Xing. His complexion changed, and he stared blankly at Su Xing, and even his breathing became extremely cautious. Large beads of sweat slid down his forehead, and surprisingly, not one of the several samurai dared to say a word. A supervoid cultivator's spiritual might was very powerful. A thought alone was enough to make these unruly samurai perish here. Su Xing retracted his gaze and restrained his presence. He did not plan on doing anything else. The samurai of the Bakufu returned to their senses but were terrified. They rushed in endless panic towards Kyoto's imperial city. Only after they were several hundred meters away did they turn their heads back for a glance. I heard the Tokugawa clan this time is preparing to enter Kyoto to replace the empress. 2. The Bakufu has already issued several statements of emergency. It seems war is inevitable again. The empress has that Lord Dragon of Ekigo. 3, does she not? Was the Tokugawa army not defeated several times? I heard the situation is different this time around. In short, Kyoto is no longer safe, huh? By the time the chariots were gone, the surrounding peasants crowded over, beginning to enter spirited discussion. Su Xing knew that several dozen years ago, a high-ranking officer nicknamed the Dragon of Ekigo appeared in the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom who defeated every single feudal lord and prince, establishing the Bakufu and stifling the Ghost Kingdom's year-long flames of war. Now, it seemed that the Ghost Kingdom was apparently not so safe again. Su Xing wondered if perhaps that Bakufu Empress that was making Master worry about the Ghost Path Sword Saint. Just as Su Xing was pondering about going to the Bakufu to meet the Empress that was treated as a legend by the Ghost Kingdom, at this time, Koito dashed to Su Xing. She cutely said, "Koito has other things and must go now." Koito nodded and then pushed her small cart like the wind towards a small alley, running far away. "Let's leave, too," Su Xing said. Wuxia followed Koito with her eyes. Only when she heard Su Xing's words did she turn back. The two of them returned to their inn, sakura petals floating down along the way. The fluff of the willows fluttered, and the scent of the cassia wafted, a pleasure with distinct parts. Su Xing missed Lin Yingmei and the others very much. Tomorrow, we'd better go back. The Ghost Kingdom isn't too stable right now. The Four Styles School should be safe. Does Lord Husband not want that sword chant? I searched Kyoto for several days, and I even have the Ghost Buddha appellation now. And yet that Ghost Path Sword Saint has not come out. I don't want it anymore. Su Xing shrugged. It turned out the purpose in Lord Husband challenging those dojos was to draw out that Sword Saint. All of Kyoto's Ghost Martial Cultivator dojos had been overturned. This was undoubtedly a plain disgrace. Anyone else would not possibly remain aloof, let alone that he made a beeline for his duels against the Ghost Path Sword Cultivators. Since his opponent was unwilling to show himself, Su Xing could only give up for the time being. He would have to return to the sect first. Just as the two of them were leaving. Suddenly, the surrounding fluttering sakura were blown by a breeze and fragmented. Su Xing was taken aback, and a fragrance struck him in the face. Wuxia's reactions were extremely quick. She spun around and blocked, her weapon in hand. She faced the baleful aura head-on without even blinking. She did everything can to slash, warding off the sneak attacker's lightning-quick blade. The opponent's strike was unsuccessful. Following Wuxia vigorously wielding her blade, the attacker struck back with clean sword technique, surprisingly slashing upwards along Wuxia's back. The saber chi became a dragon sparrow that swooped on Wuxia's back. Flowing smoothly, naturally, and unforced. Yellow rank technique, dragon blood frontline. 5. Wuxia was too late to block. Her retreated with nimble body techniques, several strands of her beautiful black hair rolled and severed by the saber chi. They intertwined with the sakura petals, and the pilgrim decisively pulled a certain distance away. A faint line of blood simultaneously appeared on her back, soaking the air with its scent. Before she had a time to think clearly, second slash was already before her eyes. Humph, can you only hide around? Wuxia sneered, yet her hand nevertheless did not dare be careless. With just 2 cuts, her whole body's blood was fully pumping. The person's figure attacked extremely quickly, not answering. The weapon in her hand was hidden in wind, making the speed she wielded even more fierce. However, relying on her superb battle talents, Wuxia still could sense that the weapon in the wind was a saber. 6. Ice-cold killing intent poured out of the blade's body. It was cold as a pool of spring water, pouring down over Wuxia's head. Dark rank saber technique, sparrow drinks winter spring. 7. Her voice came out, and it was astonishingly, a mature woman's voice. Hey! Wuxia's noble frost demonic lotus was braced in front of her, blocking the dark rank saber technique, but the woman sneered. Her figure pounced, wobbled, and in the next instant, she had surprisingly circled around to Wuxia's rear. The dark rank saber technique was merely a means to delay Wuxia. Her true aim was to directly pick off Wuxia's contractor, Su Xing. You came at the perfect time. Su Xing had already wanted to interfere. Your servant has not allowed you to leave. Wuxia sneered, quickly slashing backwards with outstanding speed. Her figure suddenly vanished, and the noble frost demonic lotus baleful aura swing about, splitting left and right as it twisted towards the enemy. Similarly, dark technique, blood splashing mandarin duck. Rip. The enemy was left with no choice but to dodge past the incorporeal killing intent. Several strands of her hair were cut, and the leftover killing intent plunged straight ahead, slicing through a statue down the street like a knife through butter. Wuxia continuously slashed, finally repelling the sneak attacker. The enemy landed 100 meters away. When the sakura petals scattered, there an astonishingly mature and lovely woman. She had purple hair, glinting pupils, red armor and a tube top exposing snow-white skin, and breasts that rippled with plumpness capable of drowning a man. Even Wuxia could not help but be impressed when she saw this. The woman held a divine long saber in her hand. The wind concealing it had already dispersed under Wuxia's attack, revealing the weapon's original form. The saber's blade was just like clear crystal, and the blade's backplate was seemingly like a dragon while it was decorated with a seemingly phoenix-like motic. It glistened like blood, swirling with stars, making the starlight of the blade's body very bright. In the twinkling light, 5 stars flowed like water along the blade. A 5-star destined star weapon. Never thought you would surprisingly be Wu Song. The woman's pupils were cold. Seeing her, Su Xing instead did not have killing intent. How did you get lured out? No mistake. The buxom and sinfully sexy woman was none other than Fulfillment Star Lord of the Beautiful Beard Zhu Manxiang. Ever since Su Xing had gone to the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom, Thief Star Shi Yuan felt a bit bored, and she was even absent-minded as she refined her puppets. In times before, the Thief Star had always been alone and never had this sort of feeling. She did not know when it happened, but Shi Yuan had already grown accustomed to Su Xing's company. If I had known, even being in the star nest would have been great. Shi Yuan grumbled to herself. Tangtang's yearning day and night wine could allow for instant return to the star nest, but after entering the star nest, she would be unable to leave for a certain amount of time. However, since this was the situation, Shi Yuan still preferred to be together with Su Xing. Shi Yuan sorted through the bounty they gained from the Crystal Dragon Palace, a plethora of dazzling treasures. The Crystal Dragon Palace had met with a great disaster at the very end, and countless shops suffered great calamity. As a professional, the flea on a drum naturally was obligated to not stand idly by and waste precious resources. Therefore, the white treasure monkey emerged to remarkably complete a round of looting. Shi Yuan counted. These items could upgrade the star weapons of the elder sisters by several levels. However, it was regretful that she could not help Lin Yingmei upgrade to 6-star. In the records of the star duels, the strongest level before the 3 heavenly books was the 6-star destined weapon of the previous Wusong. Shi Yuan had wanted to help Lin Yingmei reach the same level as history's strongest, to make the other sister give her a whole new level of respect. Sister Yingmei's 6-star Arctic Star Serpent Spear needs 64 extreme night ice star stones. This thing seems to only be found in polar regions. Maybe I should talk with Sister Xinjie. Shi Yuan muttered. She felt this was a good idea. Shi Yuan set down the work in her hands and left her temporary station. However, after searching all day, she could not find the knowledge star. Suwen, where is Sister Xinjie? The efficacious star and Suwen currently meticulously raising the essence swallowing dragons replied, she has gone to the Great Circle Castle to seek Sister Chai Ling's help in gathering information on the 4th Overlord for Big Brother. So this, huh? Shi Yuan gazed outside of the immortal's abode. Yuaner, what is the matter? I wanted to do something to help Sister Yingmei and the others. But Yingmei and Wanyue are already gone. Shi Yuan helplessly said. And Suwen gently smiled. The Alliance of 10 conference is about to begin. The elder sisters have gone to gather information. Shi Yuan was a bit dispirited to hear this. This originally should have been something she ought to be doing. This is unacceptable. This young lady must quickly comprehend her earth rank. Suwen, I shall leave first. After taking a step, Shi Yuan remembered something and turned her head back to ask, Suwen, have you comprehended your earth rank? And Suwen wore a gentle smile and nodded. Great Circle Castle. Chai Ling hugged Xing'er as she walked leisurely behind Wu Xinjie, indolently asking, what have you found? Something interesting. Wu Xinjie muttered mysteriously. Where is interesting? Chai Ling had already looked through some documents on the past star duels. What gave her the deepest impression in the 4th star duels was that 3 star masters appeared that had contracted 2 stars each. That era circulated a legend of double heavenly, double earthly. One had contracted the prestige star, double clubs, Huyan Zhua, and agile star, featherless arrow, Zhangqing. The other had 2 earthly stars. Although their rankings were extremely low and were without martial force, they had shocked everyone at the end during the 7 stars assembly by utilizing a heaven-earth dark yellow skill. The double earthly stars are fine. But for a double heavenly star overlord, this will be very troublesome. Chai Ling pursed her lips, worry written all over her face. One was a 5 tigers general, and the other was a master of concealed weapons. This formation was perfect to the extreme, undefeatable. Although Su Xing currently had Lin Chong, Wu Song, Gong Sunsheng and other top-notch star generals, facing the concealed weapon star general Featherless Arrow was completely not the issue. It was well known that in the 5th star duels, the Zhangqing then killed 8 in a single battle before the 3 heavenly books and repelled 5 star masters in a magnificent feat. This was something that a top-notch martial force star general would be unable to achieve. Xinjie feels that the Yu Dragon Hall is interesting. They wasted the strength of an entire sect to raise a star master, but afterwards, the sect immediately declined. A sect obviously wants to expand their own influence by using the star duels. Is this opposite reaction not very interesting? Documents record that Old Pig was the heir to the Yu Dragon Hall's headmaster. Chai Ling said. If he was able to become overlord, that would be even more interesting. Chai Ling saw that Wu Xingjia's eyes were emitting a crafty luster. This sort of expression had a hint that someone was about to have bad luck. Is the stark contrast between becoming overlord and the sect declining so interesting? The noble star pondered. Hua Shui, Xinjie wants you to go take care of something. Wu Xinji ordered in a low voice. Slave understands. The nine-tailed fox nodded, becoming a ray of white light that scuttled out of the main hall. This palace knows that Xing'er has gone to the Ghost Kingdom. What has he gone to the Ghost Kingdom for at this time? Chai Ling stroked the three-eyed wealth-inviting beast sitting in her bosom, nonchalantly speaking. Young Lord wanted to search for a way to refine the ghost's god's bane. Towards this arrogant queen who was unwilling to show her true motives, Wu Xinji had nothing to hide. Is there a problem with the Ghost Kingdom? It is not a big problem. This palace is aware that the Ghost Kingdom's Tokugawa clan intends to overthrow the Bakufu and replace the empress. Several dozen black warships are already anchored off Kyoto's coast. Indeed, this was no problem at all. With Su Xing's current cultivation, even if he was to cause a disturbance in the Great Liang dynasty, no one would want to go provoke the fury of a super void cultivator, never expected that Ghost Kingdom would unexpectedly unite. Wu Xinjie smiled. She knew that the Ghost Kingdom practiced evil paths of the sword. The evil qi was very heavy, and the ambitions of the feudal lords were recklessly large. To unite the Ghost Kingdom would require considerably powerful methods and force in order to work. You honestly are relaxed about Xing'er. This palace knows that the Falling Blossom Kingdom has an exceptionally fiery heavenly star little sister. This palace wonders if Xing'er will be able to bring her back. This palace is truly eager. Chai Ling covered her mouth, her smile charming. Just I wonder if CEO will agree to allowing someone to interrupt her honeymoon with young lord. Wu Xinjie giggled to herself. Kyoto. The sakura fell like flowers. Manxiang, I trust you have been well. Su Xing slightly smiled. Wu Xiao and Zhu Manxiang each were taken aback. Lord husband. You recognize her? Su Xing could not forget this sexy and buxom beauty even if he wanted to. Zhu Manxiang's gaze turned even sharper, as if she was a sharp blade trying to stab through Su Xing. Who are you? Why do you know my true name? When they had first met, Su Xing had used the change appearance pill. Zhu Manxiang could not recognize the man before her as the same person who helped her once. Is Chai's Sakura alright? Before, Yingmei and Little E had greeted you. Zhu Manxiang's eyebrows rose and immediately recalled a certain person. Do you not feel that your lies have a flaw? You must mean that Yingmei and Little E aren't accompanying me? Su Xing asked. No, Zhu Manxiang took a step forward. Her fragrance struck him in the face. Her killing intent descended upon him. Clang clang, clear ringing. Wu Xiao's sword stopped her. She stepped forward, her arrogance pushing down. No matter what your relationship is with Lord Husband, if you are not respectful to Lord Husband, your servant will not be merciful. Swordlight blossomed into several beautiful lotus flowers that shot over. The dragon sparrow Dulong saber was raised, ripping apart the lotus flowers, but Wu Xiao's swift and severe attack already was fully charged for a long while. Her wonderful figure danced amidst the falling sakura. Although Zhu Manxiang's 5-star destined weapon was formidable, her star master was the completely incapable Chai's Sakura, whose cultivation was honestly too low. She was simply unable to bring any star energy support. After being defeated in several bouts with Wu Song's master previously, Zhu Manxiang already knew what her probabilities of victory were. Wifey, please wait a moment. Su Xing shouted. When Wu Xiao heard this, she withdrew to Su Xing's side. Zhu Manxiang also landed atop a sakura tree, her breasts bouncing about, already beginning to heave. In short, This is a misunderstanding. I came to the Ghost Kingdom this time not to find you for a star duel, Manxiang. Su Xing raised his hand to hint. To be honest, he really did not want to take action. After all, Zhu Manxiang appeared to not want a star duel either. Otherwise, how could she have chased Sakura? Su Xing conjectured correctly. Wuxia's Ice Queen aura had spread through Kyoto, already drawing Zhu Manxiang's attention, and the Ghost Buddha title was even more alarming to the Fulfillment Star. She logically believed Su Xing's challenges to the ghost martial cultivators of those dojos was merely to force out the star masters in those dojos. Having seen Su Xing's supervoid stage spiritual power, this was what made Zhu Manxiang stir her killing intent. In actuality, Zhu Manxiang's sneak attack was very successful, but she had never planned on the Ghost Buddha's star general surprisingly being the famous thousand-year martial general, Wu Song. This made her sneak attack falter. Is that so? Zhu Manxiang's eyes were still wary, her killing intent fading intangibly away. Humph, if your servant truly wanted to kill you, do you feel that your servant would trouble herself over you? Wu Xiao disdainfully sneered. Zhu Manxiang was unable to deny this haughty reply and remained silent. If only you do not make Manxiang disappointed, Wu Song. Zhu Manxiang was calm, glancing at Su Xing. Just as the Fulfillment Star was about to leave, Su Xing called out to her. Zhu Manxiang, wait a moment. Zhu Manxiang turned her head back, once again tightening her grip on the dragon sparrow Du-Long saber. Seeing her still so guarded, Su Xing forced a smile. There was no other way. Perhaps if Little Yi and Yingmei were present, otherwise, how could Zhu Manxiang believe in him? After all, Liangshan Continent's contract limit was 2 star generals. Now, Zhu Manxiang had encountered 3, not believing him was to be expected. Since you have lived in the Ghost Kingdom for quite a while, I wanted to ask you something. Ask then. Has a Ghost Path Sword Saint appeared in the Ghost Kingdom? Her amber pupils slightly narrowed. Zhu Manxiang's hands folded across her enormous chest, and she pondered for a moment. And, over the last few days, Ghost Chi has skyrocketed. This should be the limit of the Ghost Path. I am currently searching for this person. Do you know who they are? Su Xing asked in pleasant surprise. You challenged Kyoto's dojos in search of this sword saint? Zhu Manxiang showed a bit of astonishment. Exactly. If this is the case, you should go search for the strongest person in Kyoto. If one can practice the way of the sword to its utmost limit, there would be none other than she. Zhu Manxiang calmly answered. She is the Bakufu Empress Great General, Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin. Zhu Manxiang said. Wu Xiao asked, is she very strong? I have never traded blows with her, but I once met her. She shut her eyes, and Zhu Manxiang seemingly was recalling that scene from back then. Her amber eyes were surprisingly leaked out slight trepidation. Wu Song, once you see her you will know, you will be subdued by her. If it can be said that we truly descended from Star World, then she, Yusuji Kenshin, came from Star World. Her unhurried words drifted with the wind. After the sakura fell, Zhu Manxiang vanished from sight, leaving only a lingering fragrance. Su Xing and Wu Xiao showed expressions of shock. Came from Star World. She could not possibly be so over-exaggerated, right? Kyoto, Imperial Palace of the Bakufu. In the Empress Court. A beautiful woman that could not be described with words was currently closing her eyes in relaxation, standing quietly. Her black hair was satiny, reaching down to her ankles like a waterfall. Her hair was extremely long, but it did not appear excessive. On the contrary, it was arranged absolutely beautifully. At first glance, she appeared to be a beauty that did not belong to this world. Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin. The Ghost Kingdom's #1 great general. No one knew where she came from, but she became a force to be reckoned with by using a Tenyo saber, consecutively defeating Oda Nobunaga, Minamoto no Yoshitsune and other major lords. Since then, her reputation was illustrious, earning the allegiance of the island in one stroke. Because her history was mysterious, this new talent was nicknamed by the people, Dragon of Ekigo. The Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin proclaimed herself the assistant to the Empress, and because of the Empress' decree, she established the Bakufu. Worthy of mention was that this Empress of the Bakufu had never been seen by the people even now. Thus, many people believed that the so-called Empress was a puppet that Yusuji Kenshin raised, or perhaps even a complete fabrication. She would do this only in order to obtain the strongest army of the Ghost Kingdom's #1 great general. In the last few years, the Tokugawa clan's clan head Tokugawa Ieyasu had quickly expanded his influence. Among the ghost martial cultivators, there was the title of Tokugawa for Heavenly Kings, and there was even the support of the genius ghost hermit Hattori Hanzo. Just like that, he had the strength to contend against the Bakufu. But even so, the entirety of the Tokugawa clan north of Kyoto was shaken by the unmatched icy aura of Uesugu Kenshin. No one knew why, but over the last few years, the Tokugawa clan frequently moved. Already, they were beginning to apply pressure towards the Bakufu. Rumor said that the Tokugawa clan had obtained an existence that could rival the Dragon of Ekigo. The people called this legendary figure the mortal enemy of the Dragon of Ekigo, the Tiger of Kai. In the flickering candle flame, Su Xing sat in front of the table. On it was current information that he received from Zhu Manxiang regarding the Bakufu. This seemed quite interesting. Lord Husband, could it be you have taken an interest in that Dragon of Ekigo? A flowery fragrance assailed his nostrils. Wuxia, who had just finished a bath, was draped in a black and white palace robe. She was just like a black snow lotus of the heavenly mountains, alluring and enchanting yet also awe-inspiring. Of course, a certain someone would never be awestruck. Su Xing pulled Wuxia to his side and sat down. To be able to make Zhu Manxiang say that, Xio, what do you think? To have come from Star World, your servant is definitely intrigued. Wuxia conceded that she had thought of exchanging blows with the Ghost Kingdom's #1 great general. If it was before, she would not hesitate to do this, but ever since she signed a contract with Su Xing, her desire for battle had greatly dampened. We're thinking the same thing. Wuxia wrinkled her brow. This was entirely different from what she was thinking. From her perspective, regardless if that Yusuji Kenshin was from Star World or not, antagonizing the #1 great general of the Ghost Kingdom for no reason was not a wise thing to do. If she truly is of Star World, then she's definitely very strong. Rashness will instead lead to us falling into trouble. Su Xing interrupted her preoccupation. Know oneself and know the enemy, emerge unscathed from 100 battles. As long as Lord Husband understands. But to return from the Ghost Kingdom empty-handed is a bit pitiful. Su Xing chuckled. Wuxia pursed her lips and disdainfully said, because Yusuji Kenshin is a beauty. Does Lord Husband want to bring her back? Wifey, a bit of what you said is right. It is precisely because she is a beauty who does not lose out to you, so let's play the villain then. Su Xing narrowed his eyes, his expression full of danger that instead made Wuxia feel that Weski Kenshin's luck was about to sour. In the faint moonlight, silhouettes flitted about. A tall man knelt upon the ground and raised his head, staring in awe at the woman high above him. The dim moonlight illuminated the contours of his steely face, from the initial unyielding stiffness to the deathly pale softness. To die at your hand, I have no regrets. He said. The light vanished from his eyes. Finally, the man's head sunk down, and his eyes did not open ever again. Lord 2. Fire illuminated the surroundings. Countless soldiers and ghost martial cultivators rushed and flocked over. When they saw the dead man who was seemingly kneeling in fealty, each and every one of them became ashen, endlessly astonished. The man in front of them was none other than one of the Tokugawa clan's 4 heavenly kings, Naomasa the Red Devil. Everyone raised their tachi swords, wanting to take revenge, but when they raised their heads to look, that beautiful figure had already vanished, leaving only a graceful glimpse of long hair pouring like a waterfall. However, all of the ghost martial cultivators were even more shocked. General Yusuji. Tokugawa clan, headquarters. Tokugawa Ieyasu and his assistant general both had grave expressions. "Milord, we cannot wait any longer." The one speaking was also a four-heavenly king, Sakakibara Yasumasa. "Yusuji Kenshin has already used such despicable methods, could it be Milord wants to see her kill us all?" Another slim man gloomily spoke. In his eyes was an ominous glint. He was the Tokugawa four-heavenly king Honda Tadakatsu. "Overthrow this Bakufu, and Milord will establish the Heian period. The Ghost Kingdom's martial cultivators do not need a woman standing atop our heads. Kill her. Avenge him." Everyone clamored about. Tokugawa Ieyasu was instead calm. "Hanzo, what do you think?" A monstrous figure emerged from the darkness, making many of the officers burst into a cold sweat. They surprisingly were completely unable to perceive his presence at all. The man who stepped out of the darkness was none other than the Ghost Kingdom's currently unmatched ghost hermit, Hattori Hanzo. Subordinate believes that what everyone is saying is correct. The Bakufu is already gradually chipping us away. Hattori Hanzo respectfully said. Ever since the Tokugawa clan's first heavenly king Tsuneo Mesa was assassinated, the same day, an important officer of the Tokugawa clan was also murdered afterwards. All the soldiers and ghost martial cultivators who witnessed this were not even able to keep up with the enemy's shadow, and the last impression she gave them in the night was hair long to the extreme and a chilling beauty. Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin. Only the legendary god of war who united the Bakufu on behalf of the empress could have such boldness. What god of war, to surprisingly use assassination? To take the lead over my subordinates, to break off my wings. Tokugawa Ieyasu fumed in a low voice. Does she believe that this is enough to make me, Tokugawa Ieyasu, surrender? Milord, send the troops in. But do you feel that you are able to face Yusuji Kenshin? Tokugawa Ieyasu looked around at everyone, asking them in a cold tone. The more than 10 generals and the 3 heavenly kings were all silent. Hattori Hanzo, what do you say? Milord need only give the order, and your subordinate shall fight to the death. Hattori Hanzo did not hesitate to answer. For us as well. As long as we work together, we can definitely kill Yusuji Kenshin. Tokugawa Ieyasu was still hesitant. After all, Yusuji Kenshin's fame was too great. At this moment, a burst of unruly and raucous laughter entered the room. Even when that woman wants to get rid of you one by one. Could it be that you are also prepared to cower together for the rest of your lives? In this king's view, the time has come to overthrow this Bakufu. A man completely clad in a black robe seemed to enter the room like a ghost. Even the Hattori Hanzo, who was renowned as the Ghost Kingdom's #1 ghost hermit, was unable to sense him at all. All of the powerful ghost martial cultivators felt stifled. You have come. Ghost King, could it be you have already finished refining the demonic saber? Tokugawa Ieyasu was delighted. If he had the aid of this tiger of Kai, then facing Yusuji Kenshin was possible. Almost. It seems Yusuji Kenshin is only making her move because she has sensed this king's ghost chi some time ago. Humph, what dragon of Ekigo, what unmatched icy god of war. She is nothing special to use assassination as her method. The man sneered, just allow her to witness the might of this king's supreme ghost body. The first thing will be to sacrifice her as tribute to this king's rampage through this earth. If Su Xing was present, he would definitely be shocked. The man before them was none other than the same person who he thought had been killed by Yenizhen's 3 arrows lethal crossbow, the Ghost Cavalry King. Very good. Your subordinate believes that if we can capture the Empress in one move, this Yusuji Kenshin will definitely surrender. Hattori Hanzo said. Very good. I order you now, immediately assault Kyoto. Blame this on Yasuji Kenshin. If she capitulates, that would be for the best. If she resists, do not show mercy. Tokugawa Ieyasu coldly said. As you command. The deep night became no longer tranquil at this moment. The remaining three heavenly kings Honda Tadakatsu, Sakakibara Yasumasa, Sakai Tadatsugu, the genius ghost hermit Hanzo Hattori, the great generals and more than 1,000 ghost martial cultivators marched in the ice-cold moonlight, slinking with murderous intent. Ghost Cavalry King, this will all depend on you. If you can help the Tokugawa clan topple the Bakufu, in the future, we will definitely help you take revenge on the great Liang. Tokugawa Ieyasu earnestly promised. The Ghost Cavalry King laughed. When he heard about the great Liang, fury suddenly shot out of his eyes. Thanks to those delicious snacks of yours, this king's supreme ghost body has recovered to peak state. The insignificant Emperor Liang can do nothing against this king. And you also presented the demonic saber to this king, so this king will naturally aid you. However, not only will this king trample over the great Liang, this king also wants to kill the Majestic Star's contractor. Do you dare? Maiden Mountain Star Master. Ghost Cavalry King, why would you want to kill a Star Master, that Maiden Mountain? Tokugawa Ieyasu's expression changed. Afraid? The Ghost Cavalry King sneered. This king has already decided now to consume all of those star generals. They will certainly be delicious, certain to allow this king to reach transforming star of annihilation. I understand. The Ghost Cavalry King's appetite made Tokugawa Ieyasu inwardly draw in a breath. I hear that Hideyoshi has a daughter who contracted a star general. In the future, Tokugawa Ieyasu will present her to you first thing. Tokugawa Ieyasu pledged. No need to wait. This king will succeed with the ghost path. This king already has a plan and will now go to the Toyotomi clan and eat that girl. Then this king will devour the dragon of Ekigo, a ghostly wind rose, and a ghastly howl shrieked everywhere. The Ghost Cavalry King became a phantom-like black smoke that vanished. Outside Kyoto. In slumbering Kyoto, the moonlight was dim, and the night was pitch black, quiet as a tomb. The faraway Bakufu's lanterns glowed bright in the imperial city. The city wall's magnificence looked down on the entirety of Kyoto like enormous mountains. Imperceptible killing intent quietly flooded the city walls, the streets and alleys, directly into the imperial city. Beyond Kyoto's shore, the lights of warships drew closer. All of the masters of the Ghost Path dojos blinked their eyes from their sleep. Then, they closed them again, as if none of this was related to them. They merely gave orders for the dojo's disciples to shut the windows and doors, to remain quiet and not enter or leave no matter what they heard. Tokugawa Ieyasu's most powerful generals and heavenly kings quietly entered the city like bloodthirsty wolves. Suddenly, Hattori Hanzo stopped. He turned his head back and stared at a certain tower. This strongest ghost hermit's brows wrinkled. What is the matter, Hanzo? Why have you stopped? Sakakibara Yasumasa grasped his longsword. Apologies. Hattori Hanzo helplessly apologized. It seemed that he was overcautious. How could anyone hide right in front of him without being detected? He continued to sneak on. After he left, in the quiet pavilion, the wind stirred. Lord husband, they are thinking the same thing as you, the beautiful and cold woman quietly said. So let's see just what skills that Yasuji Kenshin has. The man beside her calmly said. When the moonlight illuminated him, he was none other than Su Xing. Bakufu, courtyard. Sakakibara Yasumasa and the Tokugawa clan's other great generals were already drawing closer. The guards and sentries along the way collapsed in whimpers, as if they were reaped straw. A while later, Sakakibara Yasumasa and the ghost martial cultivators were already bubbled into the imperial court like a black tide. They had innately superb martial force. Each person was capable of fighting 1,000 soldiers. With this many people gathered together, it was obvious how powerful they were. Suddenly, Sakakibara Yasumasa stopped his advance, halting in the corridor leading to the royal court. "General Sakakibara, why have you stopped?" Honda Tadakatsu said. He was known as the Tokugawa clan's #1 ghost martial cultivator. Shuffle, shuffle. The others also came to a stop one after another. A wave of water was frozen by a mysterious substance. "Look out!" Sakakibara Yasumasa tightly gripped his spear and assumed an aggressive stance. A sort of indescribable feeling of danger made the hackles of the Tokugawa's fierce tigers rise. Their hands clenched their weapons, their eyes reflecting a ferocious gaze. Even from far away, Su Xing and Wuxia could sense this level of pressure. Before they even heard it, to be able to have this level of power, this made Su Xing's blood unable to help but stir. Finally, the black night slowly parted. A slender figure expressionlessly walked out, neither fast nor slow. She had no killing intent. That person strolled in the Bakufu's royal court, as if she was viewing the flowers, her gait graceful. She looked beautiful, but the long saber in the girl's delicate hand clearly showed her hidden danger. Closer and closer and closer, the moonlight cast away the dark night, revealing her distinct figure. Su Xing could not help but be startled. The figure of the woman who approached was extremely slender, and her long hair flowed like a waterfall, hanging down to her ankles. A warrior's pure white long gown covered her, freely matching the heroic air she exuded. Her absolutely beautiful face fit her brilliant eyes that were like deep waters. The gentle and beautiful moon did not diminish her beauty. Her figure leaned, wafting a subtle fragrance. Each petal of sakura danced under the moonlight like red butterflies flitting among red flowers, dancing beside the young girl. So beautiful. Sakakibara Yasumasa and the others could not help but take a step back when they saw the girl appear. The girl stopped. Her eyes slightly drooped. The long saber in her hand was very lengthy, at least 2 meters by Su Xing's estimate. It was like a spear in terms of length. Although it was said that an inch of length was an inch of power, it was rare to see a long saber that could drag along the ground. No need to guess. To be as mild as a flower yet as frigid in temperament as ice, there could only be one person in all of the ghost kingdom. Yusuji Kenshin. Sakakibara Yasumasa inhaled sharply, unaware that his hand was somewhat trembling. Yusuji Kenshin said, "Tokugawa generals who have come charging into the Bakufu in the dead of night with who knows what reason in your minds, may Kenshin hear it. Enough of your farce. You only pretend to be a god of war. You plotted against my brothers, yet you still dare to put on an act." Tokugawa for Heavenly King Sakai Tadatsugu furiously shouted. "Are you drunk, General? Kenshin does not know what nonsense you are spouting." Yusuji Kenshin indifferently answered. This arrogant attitude made the fury of the originally frightened group surge again. "General Yusuji, perhaps you can help Lord Ieyasu. This empress has never shown her face. Everyone in the world is uneasy about this." Sakakibara Yasumasa calmed down. Yusuji Kenshin's face was like a dry well, nothing stirred. "Generals, if you have no business, then please turn back. Kenshin shall not pursue your loss of control over drinking. If you generals take one more step forward, then Kenshin shall view this as a revolt and will retaliate. What can you do if I take one step forward?" Takagi Kiyohide jeered loudly. He took a step forward, she hands gripping a large mace, like a tiger eyeing its prey. Thereupon, the young woman stopped. She slightly bowed in courtesy, as naturally as water sprinkling onto plants. Her slender jade fingers gripped the shaft of her long saber neither quickly nor slowly. In between, she raised her hands, turned her wrists, and rubbed her palm. All of her movements were clearly distinct and simple that they made someone overlook them. And then Takagi Kiyohide's mocking face turned into an ashen expression of terror. Her blade unsheathed then sheathed. before anyone could react. On the man's stomach, a thin line practically invisible to the naked eye extended from his neck practically down his entire body. It appeared like a single, ridiculous red line, but no one laughed. Takagi Kiyohide whimpered and fell over, already dead. Cold sweat instantly slid down everyone's backs. On the ground, the clanging of a broken weapon. Two halves of the hammer were surprisingly cleanly split apart. General Sakakibara, are you waiting for Yasuji Kenshin to kill us all one by one? Sakai Tadatsugu roared in fury. Following his bellow, he immediately brandished the weapon in his hand. Kill! Sakakibara Yasumasa ordered. The Tokugawa generals flocked together, and the more than 1,000 ghost martial cultivators charged. The royal court was submerged in a black tide as far as the eye could see. Yasuji Kenshin, do you believe you can stop us? Sakakibara Yasumasa dashed over, sneering loudly, a woman should stay inside the house and serve a man's happiness. Allow me to cut down your arrogance, Destiny Crusher. Mushin cut. 2. Spear Hanzo, Huzuen Ryu, 10,000 broken stones. 3. 100 slashes exchange. Flying swords, Tenpiryu, broken heart. 5. Birds roosting on spear slash. 6. The ghost path sword chants were displayed at their limit. Yasuji Kenshin slowly raised her hands. Each movement was as natural as a fledgling inevitably flying into the sky, a fry inevitably breathing in the water. Each and every movement sublimated into the world. The young woman's eyes opened, and saber chi bubbled around her whole body. In a split second, wind blew and clouds dispersed, and moonlight glowed. Yasuji Kenshin smiled. Tenio breaks the sun. 7. Before the battle could even begin, it was already nearing its end. Su Xing watched everything with slight admiration, for this god of war Yasuji Kenshin was formidable as expected. The Tokugawa warships outside Kyoto's bay had already extinguished their lanterns. The Bakufu's countless ghost martial cultivators had begun their charge the moment Sakakibara Yasumasa ordered it. Could it be this was what it was like to taste one's own medicine? Sakakibara Yasumasa and the other Tokugawa generals fought with all their strength to kill Yasuji Kenshin. They knew that regardless of how powerful Kyoto was, as long as Yasuji Kenshin died, everything would crumble. This much was obvious. In Su Xing's perspective, Sakakibara Yasumasa's groups had brilliant sword technique. Perhaps they could not compare to the arrogant brilliance of the Azure Dragon Territory's Supervoid sword satins, but if it was a direct confrontation with a Supervoid cultivator, perhaps there would be some leeway. If this many Ghost Path sword chant adepts took action, even a top-notch star general would be a bit pressured. Of course, it was only a little. It was obvious that for Wuxia to be a bit pressured by Yasuji Kenshin, their exit from the stage was already preordained. How can this be happening? Sakakibara Yasumasa's whole body trembled. The large spear he held in his hand already was somewhat unsteady. The Tokugawa's #1 heavenly king gazed at the icy woman in despair, crying out. Yasuji Kenshin's pace was lithe and graceful. That long Tenio saber drank its fill of blood, yet it was not stained whatsoever. In the young woman's surroundings, Watanabe Moritsuna, Sakai Tadatsugu and the other generals had already become corpses. Sakakibara Yasumasa originally thought that if Yasuji Kenshin was any stronger, she would be the same level as Sword Saint Kamiyazumi Nabatsuna. However, she had relied on her false reputation as a god of war to obtain her current position. The Tokugawa clan had been honing its strength for the sake of this big push, visiting countless ghost martial cultivators and dojos. Even Sakakibara Yasumasa already had power equal to Kamiyazumi Nabatsuna. But he never imagined that he would have thoroughly underestimated the young girl's strength. Just who are you? Sakakibara Yasumasa roared. Is General tired? Then Kenshin shall send General off to a good rest. Yasuji Kenshin indifferently said. Hey! Honda Tadakatsu lifted his saber, an Iaido/swift to the extreme. Bang! Sparks flew under the moonlight. The Tenyo saber easily caught the attack. But Honda Tadakatsu's Shinkage Ryu swordsmanship was far from finished. His entire person rapidly closed the distance. He added to his sword even more danger, an even more fatal distance, an even faster swing. IAI Absolute Mind Slash. A lifetime of power was sublimated into this blade, impressive enough to render people speechless. Yusuji Kenshin was startled. With a beautiful spin, the Tenyo saber danced along, 2 stars shimmering upon it. It passed by Honda Tadakatsu's body, and both sides stopped. A cut already appeared on the unblemished skin of Yusuji Kenshin's jade arm, a shocking sight. Honda Tadakatsu collapsed onto the ground wearing a victorious expression. He ceased breathing. Sakakibara Yasumasa was in thorough despair. Yusuji Kenshin's eyes slightly narrowed. Suddenly, she leapt high up, like a launched cannonball. Her long black hair splayed out in the air, and the young woman's figure abruptly vanished. She then suddenly appeared beside Su Xing. This is bad. Wuxia's killing intent had already been sensed by Yusuji Kenshin. Her speed was abnormally fast, and her blade was the first to attack. Humph. Wuxia was already on guard. She stared at Yusuji Kenshin, her hand clenching Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. High above, Yusuji Kenshin's entire being mixed perfectly with the moon's gentle light. A beautiful, suffocating feeling. Tenli Demonic Lotus Dragon Slaying. Wuxia coldly acted. Her sword chi burst open, drawing a swift curve. Bright Moon Slash. Yusuji Kenshin was like a god. The Tenyo saber's brilliant saber chi was swift and severe under the moonlight. The 2 uniquely cold and beautiful women traded blows in midair. Heaven and earth exploded at the same time. The splendid saber chi and sword fought like tigers and dragons, bursting forth without limit. Murderous intent drowned the royal court, plunging directly into the surrounding constructs, shattering them. Bang! Yusuji Kenshin and Wuxia each received a shock, pushing away from one another. As expected, your reputation is fully earned. Wuxia faintly smiled. Her blood could not help but flare. That's, Su Xing was stunned. Yusuji Kenshin raised her long Tenyo saber. Under the moonlight, a pair of stars glittered. This was astonishingly like the glow of a star weapon. Su Xing only felt his lungs choke, and he did not hesitate to flip open the birth treasure outline. The pages flipped through the volume with no wind, and Wuxia also held her breath. The final page manifested. Golden characters formed. Star position, Heavenly Crossing Star, 8, Star name, Yusuji Kenshin nickname, Dragon of Ekigo true name, Yusuji Muzu, 9, Star number, 229 Star weapon, Tenyo saber, 2 star, Star beast, Nun realm, True Phoenix first stage innate skill, Commander, 10, Yellow rank special technique, Bright Moon Slash. Dark rank special technique, Tenyo breaks the Sun Earth rank special technique, Lifelong prosperity is but a cup of sake, 11, Heaven rank special technique, current status, weakened details. Star General. Su Xing inhaled sharply. You too. Yusuji Kenshin wrinkled her brow, landing gently upon the ground. The killing intent we felt around Koido was you. Su Xing recognized where this feeling came from. Could it be you two have drunken yourselves silly together with the Tokugawa? Yusuji Kenshin indifferently asked. At this moment, Sakakibara Yasumasa had already gradually recovered from his panic. General, sober yet? Yusuji Kenshin slightly smiled. As of now, of the Tokugawa's great generals, only Sakakibara Yasumasa was left. Just who the hell are you? Sakakibara Yasumasa was already timid. Suddenly, a ghostly wind blew, shrieking endlessly. A shadow descended upon the sky above the Bakufu. Sakakibara Yasumasa finally breathed a sigh of relief. Ghost Cavalry King, you come at last. TSK, this is honestly a wretched situation. It would be better to allow this king to devour this delicious general. The Ghost Cavalry King clicked his tongue. Quickly kill her. Sakakibara Yasumasa withdrew to a safe distance. Do not worry. First, let this king see just who is stronger, the Star General or her. The Ghost Cavalry King smiled savagely. Sakakibara Yasumasa did not understand. Suddenly, a ray of saber light fell towards Yusuji Kenshin like a shooting star. Yusuji Kenshin took a step back, a strand of hair severed by the saber chi. Sakakibara Yasumasa was astonished to see the attacker was a woman. Fulfillment Star Zhu Manxiang. Fulfillment Star, why are you interfering with the Bakufu's matters? Yusuji Kenshin wrinkled her brow. She recognized Zhu Manxiang and appeared to know matters about her, yet it seemed that Yusuji Kenshin did not wish to mind anything about a star duel at all. Zhu Manxiang's expression glowered. Her hand held the dragon sparrow Du-Long saber, for a star general whose fame shakes the world to be running errands. Have you lost your honor? Yusuji Kenshin pensively raised her Tenyo saber once more. The woman's body was very light, as if she was being propped up by the air itself. She was like a feather, but the cold light upon her Tenyo saber nevertheless carried a starkly contrasting weight. Cold killing intent flowed from the saber's tip. The Ghost Kingdom's #1 beautiful General Dragon of Ekigo treated the Fulfillment Star without any kindness. There is still time for regrets right now. Yusuji Kenshin calmly said. Hey, is there really time? Fulfillment Star, stop chatting with her and kill her. The Ghost Cavalry King laughed from above. Zhu Manxiang raised her 5-star destined weapon, like a marionette. Her eyes lost their normal dexterity and instead gained slight enmity and distress. Dragon Blood Frontline. The woman shouted, her blade whooshing, crying like a dragon. Saber light too fast for the naked eye to see zipped by. The saber light instantly arrived before Yusuji Kenshin's eyes. The woman did not change expressions. She raised her head, spreading her waterfall-like hair. With a swish, several hundred strands were severed all at once. At the same time, a trace of blood appeared on Yusuji Kenshin's spotless face. Hey! Zhu Manxiang's blade swung down decisively. Yusuji Kenshin was as calm as tranquil waters, as if this swing was an illusion, and the girl herself was like an illusion, too. Her whole body was light, taking hold of the Tenyo saber's hilt neither quickly nor slowly. Not quick, not slow, she drew her sword instantly with a motion of the highest quality. Zhu Manxiang's eyes immediately widened. Her fierce attack suddenly stagnated in the middle, and an extreme saber chi already inconceivably smashed into her stomach, cutting into her body. Since you are an enemy, you must die. The young woman declared in a detached tone. Just what the hell is happening here? Su Xing was caught somewhat off guard by the quick succession of surprising events in front of him. Yusuji Kenshin surprisingly showed up in the birth treasure outline. She was a star general. But what was the meaning of that star number, 229? It was not the same as rank. Su Xing was completely confused. Yusuji Kenshin's matters were baffling, but it suddenly seemed that Zhu Manxiang had sided with the Ghost Cavalry King. Su Xing was even more confused about what Zhu Manxiang's position was, and no matter how he looked, she only had a pitiful contractor with low cultivation. Zhu Manxiang would inevitably die facing Yusuji Kenshin. Does Lord Husband have an idea? Wuxia asked Su Xing. If it was before, the pilgrim would definitely have not hesitated to take action against the Yusuji Kenshin whose origins were unclear, but now that she already had a contract, Wuxia placed priority on everything her husband wanted. Before Su Xing could answer, he shouted they were in trouble, and his figure escaped. Zhu Manxiang groaned. The saber chi had cut into her body, piercing through her internal organs. Her mature and ripe body was already full of cuts and bruises, a wretched sight. Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin's Batojutsu was practically undefeatable. The true Phoenix realm had overwhelmingly seized the advantage. If it was not for Zhu Manxiang relying on the 5-star destined weapon's powerful star energy for protection, she would have been killed into the star nest. When she was knocked back by the saber light, Yusuji Kenshin again thrust her saber towards the sky, mercilessly about to turn this into the place where Zhu Manxiang died. Bang! A golden lotus flower suddenly bloomed in front of Zhu Manxiang, blocking the Tenyo saber. The flower petals shattered, and the Buddhist light receded. Yusuji Kenshin was taken aback. She retracted the Tenyo saber. The girl stared in both shock and displeasure at the foolish actions of the man who played the hero saving the beauty. You want to make an enemy of me as well? Su Xing laughed. No need to make it sound so unpleasant, but I am very curious about your identity. Did you really come from Star World? Did you get along with Her Highness the Empress these past few days for this purpose? Yusuji Kenshin was pensive, once again raising the Tenyo saber. Her Highness the Empress? It can't be, that Koito. Su Xing was startled. Without letting Su Xing utter his unreasonable answer, the young woman was already slashing. A dazzling figure intercepted her, making Yusuji Kenshin's IAI/end without results. You are a star master yet would save her. Yusuji Kenshin raised her brows. Although she cared not for them, she had more or less heard about them. The star masters of the star duels were locked in mutual slaughter. In the end, only one person could live. In the star duels, countless star masters schemed endlessly only to spare no effort in killing their opponent. You and Maiden Mountain. Just what is their relation to Star World? Do you know the reason for the star duels? Wuxia's star crest flickered on her forehead. Her pace was easygoing, walking towards Yusuji Kenshin in the courtyard. Kenshin has no interest at all in your star duels. You had best not bring trouble to yourselves. No matter what, your servant wants to see just what part of you is divine, exceed star. The corner of Wuxia's mouth wore a slightly charming smile. Noble frost demonic lotus blossomed in her hand. Ice-cold sword chi and black lotus-like killing intent mixed together, covering Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Kenshin. Her sword tip pointed directly at the target, not hesitating to stab towards her chest as it drew the air apart with a shrill whistle. Everything in the surroundings instantly seemed to freeze. The words that Yusuji Kenshin wanted to say froze inside her mouth. Before that instant, she was still leisurely waving her long saber, but now she was rigid as steel. Wuxia's strike shocked gods and demons alike. But the defender was not at a disadvantage. Yusuji Kenshin's whole body blocked at the first instant with the crisp ring of clashing weapons. Wuxia's attack was completely intercepted. Yusuji Kenshin made a half-turn with her feet, and her long hair swung along. Instantly, she had flanked Wuxia. Her wrist turned that long saber, and the saber's cold light drew ray after ray of slashes at extremely fast speeds, twisting towards Wuxia's arms, stomach and whole body from all directions like a whip. Like a downpour. Without any blind spots, it was capable of tearing apart any attack and defense. This assault was a nearly perfect dark technique. Tenyo breaks the sun. Su Xing's expression focused. Yusuji Kenshin was more frightening than he had imagined. The true Phoenix realm was not an empty title. His hand grabbed Zhu Manxiang while his other hand did not hesitate to strike with Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder. At the same moment, a yellow light flashed out from Su Xing. It became an absolutely beautiful immortal, the earth chi around her whole body coiling like serpents, billowing up and down. She was Empress Tuesday. Having undergone endless time under Su Xing's refinement, the Earth Book True Spirit Empress II already was nearly about to reach an external projection. Each of their spirits were linked at a stage where whenever Su Xing sensed danger, Empress Tu could already charge out without need for Su Xing distributing divine intent. The earth chi rolled around Wuxia. The yellow chi was opaque. Although it was thin, it wrapped around her like a membrane. When the concentrated saber chi descended, it struck the earth chi like countless raindrops, a torrential downpour. So incredible. Su Xing's heart went cold. The powerful Empress Tu's body sunk into the saber light. A strong force rolled over his whole body, squeezing Su Xing into breathlessness. A true Phoenix Realm Martial General honestly was too powerful. So this is a magic weapon of the Azure Dragon territory. Yusuji Kenshin's saber swung, the long Tenyo saber slashing at Empress Tuesday. Empress Tu could not last. She broke apart into a pile of yellow chi, and when she reformed, her power had greatly diminished. But this was far from all that Su Xing had to face Yusuji Kenshin. Watch your servant's dark technique, Black Lotus dyes snow. Wuxia used all her strength. The double-ended sword tore apart the air, letting out a defeating explosion. The peerless black blade chi bloomed like a lotus on Yusuji Kenshin's back. This was already unable to be measured with speed. The young girl's long hair was stirred by this powerful sword chi. Without even thinking, the girl drew her sword. Before the sword chi attacked, she brandished a peerlessly stunning slash. The Tenyo saber danced. The long saber fiercely slashed. Wuxia's concentrated Black Lotus sword chi was instantly shattered by forceful power, but Wuxia's new dark technique was far from over. 10 black snow lotus sword chi blossomed all around Yusuji Kenshin, contaminating everything around them, similarly leaving no room to maneuver. Yusuji Kenshin did not hesitate, did not evade. She lowered her head, meticulously sensing the danger she was looking for. The god of war lowered her head and grinned. In less than a second, she had entered a tranquil sword path. All sides around her exploded, and sword chi dispersed. Wuxia already seized Noble Frost Demonic Lotus in coordination with the dark technique Black Lotus dyes snow. She very directly attacked Yusuji Kenshin's torso, instantly drawing close. The dragon of Ekigo opened her eyes. Her gaze sparked with the light of lightning. Yusuji Kenshin once again slashed back. This time, the Tenyo saber pivoted like a swallow. The most cool and elegant woman in the world at this instant commended the most stunning super strong dialogue. Each of her jet black hairs were lifted by the saber chi and sword chi. The stiff confrontations made the royal court split open with many cracks. From an outsider's perspective, those slender and wonderful figures, those identical ice-cold glares, the two of them appeared like mirror images of one another, making all of the ghost martial cultivators watch stupefied. But a certain person was not awestruck. He was even a bit sinister. An thunderlight that was unmatched in severity shot over towards this duel that outsiders were unable to interfere in, covering the Yusuji Kenshin whose technique had already ended. The girl was suddenly roused from her thoughts. Her complexion paled as purple thunder slammed into her whole body. The saber chi dispersed, and her legs buckled. A hard-to-predict maneuver instantly pulverized the ground beneath Yusuji Kenshin's feet to dust. Lord Husband. Wuxia was taken aback. If husband and wife work together, they can cut through metal. Su Xing answered without changing expressions. Yusuji Kenshin was slightly humiliated and cursed, despicable. Tisk, legendary fulfillment star, is this the limit of your abilities? The Ghost Cavalry King laughed from high above. Or perhaps this star general is powerful. This is a bit interesting. Hey, you, how about you hand your star general to me? The Ghost Cavalry King shouted. He did not recognize Su Xing was the very same man he hated to the bone. Su Xing had already taken notice of the Ghost Cavalry King. Seeing him calm and composed, especially his criticism of the fulfillment star made Su Xing feel very confused. Zhu Manxiang, why are you listening to him? Don't tell me, oh, Su Xing had asked halfway when his line of sight once again fell on Zhu Manxiang, revealing that her affairs were not in order. Zhu Manxiang's clothes had been practically shredded by Yusuji Kenshin's sharp saber chi. Her full and enormous white breasts were already struggling free amidst her labored breaths. Like her name suggested, her body was serenely fragrant, very arousing. Even Su Xing could not help but feel a certain place surge with blood, unable to maintain control. He promptly used the soul technique to compose himself. Then, he covered Zhu Manxiang's body with a cloak from his astral bag. This gentle gesture made Zhu Manxiang's eyes show bewilderment. "You really are Lin Chang's man, is the Ghost Cavalry King using Chai Sakura as leverage?" Su Xing whispered. N. Zhu Manxiang's pale complexion recovered the blush of a mature woman, her expression nevertheless bitter. "Really?" Su Xing's voice sunk. "Fulfillment Star, just how long are you planning to lean against that man's chest? I order you right now, kill him." The Ghost Cavalry King ordered in displeasure. Before Su Xing could speak, the buxom woman in his embrace instantly turned hostile, the dragon sparrow long saber immediately hacking at him. Liked it? There once was a psychology research expert who said that long-term behavior decided a person's personality and instincts. This kind of personality and instinct will react to every single detail in life, influencing their ultimate destiny. Fine, our ancestors have already used 5 words to sum this up: habit will become second nature. If Su Xing was made to recall his deepest impression he had, the most common thing he did after coming to Liangshan continent, that could similarly be explained in 4 words. Hero saves the beauty. Regardless of whether it was when he first performed rescue breathing on Lin Yingmei, then braved danger for Shi Yuan's sake, or later after he learned to intensify the chaotic tail escape, Su Xing practically demonstrated these 4 words to the limit of perfection. The Kame Yanizhan, Gong Sun Huang, Wuxia and other beauties, even opponents like Hua Wanyue, Gong Kaiwei, and Zhao Hanyan, as well as the star generals Zhu Sha and Dong Junqing, even those he lacked a close relationship, like Humi. The people in the world only felt the purple thunder monster's 12 beauties serving him was defiant of the star duel's rules, but if they thought carefully, this behavior that disregarded one's safety, completely overturning his position as a star master, was what was truly unreasonable. Perhaps it was precisely this type of time-tested behavior that Su Xing had cultivated instinctually. If someone was a friend, Su Xing would always spare no effort to help her and not allow harm to befall her. To be honest, this type of behavior that appealed to the masses was understandable. Even the 1,000-year arrogant martial general Wuxia had a preference for this lord husband who put himself at others' service. But this damned man still informed us, the world never had such a thing as time-tested. Thus, when even the shrewd Humi could soften in Su Xing's embrace, fulfillment star Zhu Manxiang used her most firm callousness to answer this man: "Walk along the riverbank, and you will get wet." She swung her saber. The 5-star dragon sparrow long saber slashed tyrannically. Ice-cold killing intent like cold water falling from the heavens froze Su Xing in place. This was a dark rank saber technique. Sparrow drinks winter spring. Su Xing never expected this kind of unforeseen event. In the past, he hugged the girls he saved against his chest with absolute trust in them, and over time, this somehow became Su Xing's natural instinct. He never imagined the day, that this natural instinct would betray him. Caught off guard with the close-range attack of a 5-star destined weapon, even if Su Xing was the Daluo Golden Immortal, he would be powerless to return to heaven. This slash practically twisted all of Su Xing's meridians apart. This was the first time he had personally faced the danger of a close-range dark technique from a martial general's 5-star destined weapon. "Forgive me," Zhu Manxiang said guiltily. Her hand nevertheless quickly threw Su Xing towards the Ghost Cavalry King. "Now release Chai Sakura." "Lord husband." Su Xing had sustained heavy injury. The adjacent Wuxia was similarly shocked, also receiving harm. Currently in a frenzied battle against Yusuji Kenshin, this instant of stagnation brought about an irrevocable major gap. Yusuji Kenshin easily broke through Wuxia's twin swords, her chilling blade directly cutting Wuxia's neck. This was not surprising. Such an attack would kill Wuxia without doubt. But Yusuji Kenshin did not do this. A slight glint flashed past the girl's eyes. She gracefully spun halfway around, and the blade gently slid past Wuxia's neck. The girl's figure moved, instantly appearing between the Ghost Cavalry King and Su Xing, suddenly changing her attack direction. Clown from who knows where, watch Kenshin's blade. Yusuji Kenshin's saber slashed at the Ghost Cavalry King. When the Ghost Cavalry King saw Su Xing was thrown over, he became a dense black shadow and pounced. At the same time, a little girl was revealed inside his black robes. When Zhu Manxiang saw her, she anxiously rushed over to catch the girl. Against Yusuji Kenshin's sudden attack, he sneered. He surprisingly passed through the blade without any fear, breaking apart as if he was a ghost. Several ghost shadows suddenly appeared. Yusuji Kenshin did not anticipate this and turned her head back. Watch this king's one spirit soul taking. 2. The Ghost Cavalry King laughed. The ghost shadows already wrapped around Su Xing. What is this? Su Xing was startled. A wretched black shadow suddenly pounced down. A bone-chilling howl sounded beside his ear, and then the Ghost Cavalry King's ghost shadows drilling into Su Xing's body. A sort of bone-rending pain seemed to tear Su Xing apart. His head seemed muddled, as if it was filled with mercury. An indescribable thing wanted to rip his consciousness from his body. That is a walk-in. 3. You had best not be careless. Chao Gai's voice was transmitted into his mind. Su Xing's heart sunk. He quickly shut his eyes, calmly activating the absolute sincerity soul technique. At the same time, he chanted Brahmanist incantations, releasing Buddhist light. A giant meditative mind lotus flower broke free little by little from the black shadows and bloomed. Thinking of resisting? Your body is not bad. That star general is to this king's palate. This king shall use full power to see just how long you can last. The Ghost Cavalry King sneered. More than a dozen ghosts instantly emerges, splitting into 100 more. Countless phantoms fell over each other nipping at Su Xing's whole body, drilling into his body. Lord Husband. Wu Xiao's expression changed. A figure held her back. Do not go over there. Chao Gai. Wu Xiao was furious. If you go now, you will only hurt him. Chao Gai calmly replied. Just what is happening? Wu Xiao said. This cultivator ability is a soul-extracting art. He wants to occupy Su Xing's body like he did with that little girl. What did you say? Wu Xiao was shocked. However, there is no need to worry. Su Xing cultivated the meditative mind lotus and has Li Jishan's meditative mind innate skill. So long as his reactions are fast enough, his consciousness will never fade. The Ghost Cavalry King will not be able to handle him. After all, your Lord Husband is but the man who contracted 12 star generals. With that enormous star nest and peak supervoid cultivator divine intent, the Ghost Cavalry King is no match. Chao Gai expressionlessly replied. Humph. Wu Xiao tightly bit her lip, her fingers white from gripping her weapon so tightly. Meanwhile, Yusuji Kenshin was also stunned by the scene before her eyes. Countless phantoms let out terrifying howls as they endlessly coiled around Su Xing. In the black shadows, a bean-sized golden light radiated little by little. Then, a lotus bud broke free of the ghost's entanglement, slowly blooming into a powerful lotus flower. The countless shadows shrieked as they tried to prevent the lotus from blossoming, but this light was honestly too blinding. Not a moment later, half of the shadows had disappeared. What is happening? The Ghost Cavalry King was astonished. His one spirit soul taking was but the most powerful ability of his supreme ghost body. To successfully refine it was a coincidence from dying to Yan Qing's 3 arrows lethal crossbow, and he had refined this technique afterwards. Although each use greatly debilitated his cultivation, against the Star Master Chai's Sakura, her contract was actually very good nourishment. The Ghost Cavalry King had succeeded against her at the first strike, but now he was using all of his strength and was surprisingly feeling drained. Not good. The Ghost Cavalry King shouted in pain. The meditative mind lotus flower behind Su Xing unfurled. Like a sun, the countless specters screamed as they burned away from its illumination. The shadows split from Su Xing's body one after another. This man's powers are very formidable. Within the span of a breath, the Ghost Cavalry King's phantoms had all been peeled off Su Xing's body. They gathered in midair and restored themselves into the appearance of a black robe. Just who are you? The Ghost Cavalry King's tone sunk. Ghost Cavalry King, you truly are a lingering soul in both name and reality. Su Xing slowly opened his eyes. He appeared extremely solemn. The lotus flower suddenly expanded, and Buddhist light glowed brightly. You recognize this king? The Ghost Cavalry King was startled. Oh, you forgot about me? It was all thanks to you back then in Stone Tablet City that Little E comprehended the 3 arrows lethal crossbow. Su Xing breathed deeply, staunching his wounds. The Ghost Cavalry King was taken aback. Suddenly, the ghosts over his whole body contorted. It is you are Lin Chang's contractor. Finally remembered. Su Xing's expression turned cold. This king just happened to be looking for you. For you to show up on my doorstep, perfect. This king shall now turn you into mincemeat. The Ghost Cavalry King let out a hair-raising cackle. This king shall let you witness the might of this king's supreme ghost body. A black demonic blade appeared in his hand, and just when the Ghost Cavalry King slashed at Su Xing, I actually want to see what abilities you have. Su Xing's divine intent moved. Suddenly, 12 jadeite flying swords became 12 green rainbows. The 12 green flying swords released jadeite bamboo projections. Clear light linked together into a cage to cover the Ghost Cavalry King. The insufferably arrogant Ghost Cavalry King immediately shrieked when he touched this clear light. Evil suppressing clear light. Ha, ha. As I thought, it's effective. Su Xing's fingers weaved hand seals. The 12 Langia surrounded the Ghost Cavalry King, forming a net that covered the world. Resplendent clear light illuminated the royal court. The Langia were all forged from 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo. Evil-suppressing gem bamboo's naturally nourished evil-suppressing clear light was not only capable of hindering demons, it was also effective in fighting off any evil spirit. Let alone that this was a 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo, the might of the evil-suppressing clear light was easy to imagine. Even a supervoid-level demon would have to retreat. Although the Ghost Cavalry King's supreme ghost path had been cultivated to its peak, he had never imagined that Su Xing would surprisingly have flying swords so defiant of the natural order as the 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo. Having received Su Xing's provocation, this slash had fallen perfectly into Su Xing's trap. The 12 flying swords spun, and they all released clear light at the same time, suppressing the Ghost Cavalry King into becoming immobilized. Damn you, how do you have evil-suppressing gem bamboo? The Ghost Cavalry King struggled to free the famous demonic blade in his hand, but it was like a frightened rabbit fleeing from terrifying danger. Sakakibara Yasumasa, quickly rescue this king. In a moment of desperation, the Ghost Cavalry King shouted. How could Sakakibara Yasumasa ever dare to intervene? There was Yusuji Kenshin as well as Harm Star Pilgrim. There was even the Fulfillment Star, and they all were staring intently at him, as if he would die on the spot if he made even the slightest movement. Sakakibara Yasumasa's forehead was full of sweat. He could only stare at Su Xing in shock and hatred. The Purple Thunder Monster, he had unexpectedly encountered the legendary Purple Thunder Monster. You think you can win with just the 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo? You are injured. This king shall see just how long you can last. The Ghost Cavalry King laughed. Although the 10,000-year evil suppressing clear light was formidable, it could only suppress, not kill. Even if clear light was to refine away his ghost body, that would require a very long time. The Ghost Cavalry King saw that Su Xing was already drenched in cold sweat. He knew that the Fulfillment Star's dark rank attack had indeed made him suffer greatly. So long as Su Xing could not maintain this evil-suppressing clear light would recede sooner or later. I'll let you look at something you haven't seen in a long time. Su Xing evilly smiled and raised his hand. A stone stele suddenly enlarged. Golden characters manifested upon this stele, and an air of righteousness filled the world. The Ghost Cavalry King was stunned. He immediately screamed in terror. No, the devil-suppressing stele. The originally sneering Ghost Cavalry King immediately fell into despair when he saw the devil-suppressing stele. The devil-suppressing stele was originally created for use against him by Emperor Liang using Mount Ya's Shirang and other extremely rare materials. For the sake of this stele, he had even specifically invited the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors of the time to bless it. They used 49 days to imbue it with devil-suppressing Buddhist seals, and then it was bolstered with Emperor Liang's own imperial true dragon blood for control, forging this unparalleled magic weapon for suppressing the world's evils. Compared to 10,000-year evil suppressing gem bamboo, it was that much more impressive. Su Xing chanted, and the 12 Langya spun. Evil-suppressing clear light wove into a net, and then, the devil-suppressing stele pushed towards the Ghost Cavalry King like Five-Finger Mountain. The Ghost Cavalry King's ghost body fled in terror, but following the evil-suppressing stele bearing down upon him, he could only howl in despair. Just as the Ghost Cavalry King was about to be sealed into the devil-suppressing stele, Su Xing formed a hand seal. The devil-suppressing stele halted. Ghost Cavalry King, if you don't want to die, then tell me the technique to refine this ghost's god's bane. Su Xing sneered. The ghost's god's bane appeared out of thin air. This blade's ghost chi was chilling, its ghosts not scattering. It appeared extremely frightening. Ha, ha, this ghost's god's bane is the Ghoul clan's sacred treasure, it is not simple for you to cultivate it. The ghost's god's bane records the supreme ghost body secret technique. So long as you can hold this sword for 81 days, so long as you endure 10,000 ghosts gnawing at your mind, then you will have the qualifications to take up this blade. The Ghost Cavalry King unexpectedly cooperated. Fuck, so disgusting. Su Xing wrinkled his brow. The ghost's god's bane unexpectedly had recorded the secrets to this ghost path supreme ghost body inside of it. No wonder he could not even bear to touch it. However, to have Su Xing cultivate the supreme ghost body was simply a dream. Seeing that the Ghost Cavalry King was a completely incorporeal existence, a gathering of evil spirits, Su Xing certainly did not value this kind of supreme cultivation method. With the supreme ghost body, you can possess an immortal body. You have the 10,000-year evil suppressing gem bamboo, and you also have the devil suppressing steel. In this Liangshan continent, who could oppose you? If you are willing to cultivate the supreme ghost body, how about this king shall transfer all of his cultivation to you, aid you in the star duels? The Ghost Cavalry King sinisterly enticed Su Xing, this thing is nothing compared to the longevity art. The so-called immortal body is nothing more than a lie you deceive yourself with. Su Xing scoffed. Stupid. The Ghost Cavalry King restrained his anger. Shadows once again gathered on his body. He raised the demonic blade to cut the devil-suppressing steel. A black light knocked into the devil-suppressing steel, shaking it. Ghost Cavalry Divine Generals. The Ghost Cavalry King cried out. His body scattered, transforming into 99 shadows. These shadows were not like the ghosts from before. Their bodies were seemingly substantive, clad in armor and helmets, brandishing weapons. Their eyes flickered with ghostly flames, and there were 66 shadows gripping long staffs and wearing feathered caps, draped in cloaks. A black wind stirred. The 33 ghost cavalry and 66 divine generals were more powerful and even more chilling compared to when he originally saw them at Stone Tablet City. It was only with the 12 Langya radiating their evil-suppressing clear light even more brilliantly and the devil-suppressing steel's pressure that he finally held them back, but how could the ghost cavalry king ever be resigned to this? He endlessly battered against the array, attempting to waste Su Xing's star energy. Wuxia could not watch any longer. She sneered at the Gao guy who had suddenly appeared. "Chao guy, you are practically always at Lord Husband's side, just what are you planning?" This one merely came in response to sensing someone who has surprisingly broken a star duel covenant. "Wu Song, you must not misunderstand. Although this one indeed holds a bit of interest towards your man, that interest is merely purely out of a desire to understand just how far he can bring you all." Chao guy indifferently smiled. "Broke a contract?" Wu Xio was taken aback, and she subconsciously glanced at Zhu Manxiang. Chao Gai was beyond Liangshan continent. To be able to instantly appear anywhere out of nowhere was not surprising at all to Wu Xio, but she was slightly disdainful of her answer. "Then you will not interfere with this man disturbing the star duels?" Chao Gai was unconcerned. That she did not interfere, the answer was very clear. Although the Ghost Cavalry King had refined a so-called indestructible ghost body, this type of indestructibility would still be annihilated if met with an even stronger force. It was possible for Su Xing to thoroughly destroy the Ghost Cavalry King using the two items Langya and Devil-suppressing steel which were defiant of the natural order. Originally wanting to obtain the method to refine the Ghost's God's Bane, but now with his hopes dashed, Su Xing quickly brainstormed. He suddenly had an evil idea. "Ghost Cavalry King, you have this supreme ghost body, yet you have not cultivated to transforming star of annihilation. That is truly pitiful." These words touched upon a sore spot for the Ghost Cavalry King. "Why not allow your servant to give you an opportunity? Do you want to go explore Star World?" Su Xing narrowed his eyes. "What are you saying? Your servant is a bit troubled in scaling Maiden Mountain. Do you want to employ yourself for my uses?" Yusuji Kenshin and the others were each taken by surprise. They looked at Su Xing somewhat in astonishment and a bit of derision. Sakakibara Yasumasa felt this purple thunder monster appeared somewhat naive. Did he really think he could manage the Grand Ghost Cavalry King? "Very well, this king shall employ himself under you." The Ghost Cavalry King answered evilly. Yet Su Xing did not take him. Instead, he formed a hand seal, and from his astral bag, a black chi poured out. When this black chi dispersed, a bizarre and grotesque monster seemingly assembled from every sort of body part appeared, with its body emitting a fog as black as ink and emitting a sort of disgusting stench. Yusuji Kenshin wrinkled her brow. "What sort of monster is this?" Wu Xio had nearly forgotten about this 10,000-year Gu demon. "Enter it." Su Xing's divine intent moved. The 10,000-year Gu demon involuntarily let out an unpleasant noise. The 12 Langya spun around together. The evil-suppressing clear light were like blades, and the devil-suppressing steel was like Mount Tai, bringing an enormous weight onto the Ghost Cavalry King. The Ghost Cavalry King immediately understood Su Xing's meaning. A sneer flashed past his mind. The Ghost Cavalry King completely assembled his body and then rushed towards the 10,000-year Gu demon, using one spirit soul taking. This 10,000-year Gu demon could not be a better vessel for the Ghost Cavalry King. The Ghost Cavalry King could sense that the 10,000-year Gu demon was an unfathomable Gu art. If he used it, he definitely could make Su Xing suffer endlessly. Just as he formulated this plan, Su Xing sneered. After the Ghost Cavalry King possessed its body, 12 green lights fired, sticking into the Gu demon's limbs. The Ghost Cavalry King cried out in pain. Before he could break free, he was already unable to budge. Then, the devil-suppressing steel immediately shrank and shot into the goo demon's forehead. Suddenly, the devil-suppressing magic energy immediately made the Ghost Cavalry King choke. The Ghost Cavalry King grit his teeth. He knew he had been fooled. This isn't a loss for you, to have made your servant use Langya and the devil-suppressing steel. Alright then, you just wait obediently in there. I'll call you when I need you. Su Xing chuckled. His astral bag released a spirit light, and the 10,000-year goo demon, or rather, the Ghost Cavalry King now, struggled a few moments before being sucked into the bag. Su Xing nodded his head in satisfaction. Although he did not obtain the refinement method for the Ghost's God's Bane, to capture the Ghost Cavalry King could be considered a success. Su Xing was not capable of goo arts, so he never used the 10,000-year goo demon. Now that he used it to capture the Ghost Cavalry King, he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. The Ghost Kingdom's martial cultivators were already dumbstruck, not daring to believe their own eyes. The Ghost Cavalry King was surprisingly captured just like that. Monster, he really is a monster. Sakakibara Yasumasa's whole body shook. Hurry and roll away, all of you. Yusuji Kenshin shouted. Sakakibara Yasumasa seemed to have received a pardon. He fled in a panic, leaving without a trace, no longer daring to delay in the slightest. Originally, he had been eager for Hattori Hanzo to capture the Empress and threaten the Dragon of Ekigo, but now it seemed there was no need. With this purple thunder monster, this was the best he could ask. Zhu Manxiang dearly stroked Chai Sakura's ashen face, her doting expression a bit sad. She gently set Chai Sakura down and rose to stare at Su Xing. She gripped her saber, her expression immediately changing into a resolution different from her usual self. Her shadow swelled, and Zhu Manxiang slashed at Su Xing. Once Su Xing captured the Ghost Cavalry King, he had relaxed in his satisfaction. He had even forgot about the injury that Zhu Manxiang's attack had brought. When he remembered this betrayal, Su Xing only then remembered about Zhu Manxiang. All of a sudden, thousands of flower petals bloomed around Su Xing. An odd scent assailed him, covering the entire space. Multicolored flowers released light, and in the midst of them, a picture appeared. This scent was intoxicating, and Su Xing felt his whole body lose strength. The injuries on his body no longer hurt, but this instead made Su Xing suck in a breath. Among the myriad flowers, Su Xing surprisingly found himself unable to break out. He turned his head, and as he anticipated, he saw fulfillment star Zhu Manxiang already daintily approaching. That dragon sparrow Du Long Saber's 5 stars danced. Among the million flowers, the fragrance drew out the beauty of the dancing dragon sparrow. Zhu Manxiang's eyes were stern, saber light flowing. Earth rank saber technique. Clothes full of flower fragrance. 2. Su Xing knew that Zhu Manxiang's dark rank attack not killing him was only because she wanted to use him as a trade for Chai Sakura. This was understandable, but he did not expect that even now, Zhu Manxiang would surprisingly still be unwilling to let the matter rest. This time, she was using her earth rank technique, as if he must die. Su Xing's expression chilled, and his killing intent moved. You are courting death. Wuxia was infuriated. A beautiful figure instantly blocked in front of Su Xing, facing Zhu Manxiang's earth rank without a shred of fear. The noble frost demonic lotus stabbed without mercy. Just when clothes full of flower fragrance attacked, without any warning, the surrounding flowers fragmented away like an illusion. The strange scent faded, and the earth rank vanished. Nobody would have thought that Zhu Manxiang would forcefully cancel her earth rank at the last moment. If a star general used a technique, to forcefully stop it would bring backlash. This retraction split Zhu Manxiang's internal organs, and the woman vomited blood. Her pace stopped. The cold noble frost demonic lotus burst out Zhu Manxiang's back, piercing through her heart. This stab was easy, so much so that Wuxia did not feel any resistance, as if Zhu Manxiang had been seeking death. You. Wuxia subconsciously withdrew her sword. Zhu Manxiang stumbled towards Su Xing. This time, the cool and elegant pilgrim did not stop her, merely turning her head back in silence to watch Zhu Manxiang's behavior. Why would you do such a thing? Su Xing saw that Zhu Manxiang had deliberately sought her death, and he felt greatly confused. His arms supported the woman's mature body. 3. Zhu Manxiang rested her chin on Su Xing's shoulder, her hands powerlessly hung, the dragon sparrow Du-long saber falling onto the ground, letting out a cry. Your servant's dragon sparrow Du-long saber is yours. Treat it as your servant's compensation, Zhu Manxiang panted, contrarily showing a smile. What did you say? Su Xing was shocked. Lin Chong and Wu Song have found a star master that would make anyone jealous. Perhaps you truly can change these star duels. Zhu Manxiang's voice was becoming increasingly weak. To end the star duels like this, is, not bad, laying my head on this shoulder is very soothing, I truly wish to have done so once more. Zhu Manxiang slowly shut her eyes, exhausted. She lost all her strength and leaned against Su Xing's shoulder, as if she had dozed off. But immediately afterwards, the fulfillment star's body became illusionary particles, like butterflies falling from this mortal life. A crimson light immediately lost its radiance and fell onto Su Xing's body. Su Xing's heart seemed to be beaten upon heavily. He sat there dumb as a wooden chicken, unable to process what just happened. The dragon sparrow Du-long saber hovered in the air, letting out a mournful wail. In honor of the conclusion to its master's star duels. In tribute to the dead, fulfillment star. Starfall. Koito sat upon a chair, bouncing her foot up and down, several sakura buns still in her hands as she nibbled. She had an easygoing, innocent, and cute expression. Anybody who saw her would feel she was adorable and knowingly smile, but that would be before it was noted that what she sat upon was the imperial throne of the Falling Blossom Ghost Kingdom. Empress Highness, this is where matters stand. Dragon of Ekigo Yusuji Muzu gathered the hair draped over her back, standing beside Koito and reporting on the matters that happened moments ago at the Bakufu. Oh, the fulfillment star has starfallen. Koito's face was full of regret. It was rare for a star master to appear in the Ghost Kingdom, so the Bakufu certainly gave an enormous helping hand in the dark to upgrade her star weapon. She never thought the fulfillment star would starfall before the 3 heavenly books. Too pitiful. Koito very much cherished the pampering that billowing chest provided. The Tokugawa clan's old fart wants a regime change. For the next step, allow Kenshin to lead a subjugation force to destroy him. Everything will be as Empress Highness arranges. The young girl reverently bowed. Forget about it. If he wants this Bakufu, he can have it. Koito bit into her meat bun with satisfaction. Yusuji Muzu asked, is that it? It seems there is a ninja who has seen my face. The star duels are about to end anyways, so we ought to get going as well. Koito licked her oily lips. Muzu, you have one. She raised a meat bun. Yusuji Muzu bluntly grabbed it and took a small bite. That ninja did not do anything to your highness? The young girl immediately smiled wryly, feeling as if she had asked a very superfluous question. Let alone that Koito appeared innocent and young, Liangshan continent's cultivators and martial artists were perhaps even more puerile. Koito's meat buns are unmatched in the world Desuyo. Koito bashfully answered. Yusuji Kenshin played with a strand of hair and said disdainfully, that is truly letting them off. Take Koito, Yusuji Kenshin, you have unexpectedly appeared in this world. This one wants to know what designs you have for the star duels. A chilling and stern voice entered the main hall. A pervasive misty pressure simultaneously bubbled in. Powerful might froze time and space in the main hall. The golden-armored Chao Gai strode into the hall, expressionlessly looking down at them. Thousand Buddha Star Chao Gai, if we truly wanted to take action, then we would have already done so. There was no need to wait until today. Yusuji Musu's shoulders shook. Her invisible haughtiness melted the frozen atmosphere. Chao Gai's aggression lessened. She solemnly asked, "Why did you two leave Star World without permission?" "I was curious and wanted to see why our future little sister does not have the 7 stars assembly. Koito knows she is very strong." Koito sweetly smiled. She extended a hand to offer Chao Gai a meat bun. "You two had best not leak matters of the star duels to them," Chao Gai seriously said. Yusuji Kenshin disdained this as beneath contempt. "Also, you have not answered me, why were you able to leave Star World?" This question, a certain person will definitely ask as well, so Kenshin shall wait until then to answer all at once. Yusuji Musu's expression was leisurely. "However, Kenshin actually has a question to ask you." Yusuji Musu concentrated intently on Chao Gai. "Just what sort of person is this man, Su Xing? Why would he feel such sorrow for the death of a star general? Is it not too bizarre for someone to have such an expression in the star duels? This one would like to know as well," Chao Gai indifferently said. Koito nibbled on her meat bun, gazing in the direction of the hot spring at the back garden, her bright eyes blinking. Warm mist billowed out from the onsen, obscuring the entire hot spring. A magnificent blade hovered in the air, 5 stars flowing around it as if alive. Su Xing stared at this star weapon, lost in thought. It seemed as though that full plumpness still lingered beside his ears. A long while after, Su Xing sighed. Zhu Manxiang's starfall was an outcome no one could have anticipated. Although it could be said that he had met her several times, their relationship was not particularly deep. But the woman's plump and tender allure left Su Xing with a deep impression. "If only we really can meet again at Maiden Mountain." Su Xing put away the dragon sparrow Dulong saber. He looked up and very quickly settled the grief in his heart. "Does Lord Husband wish for this?" A gentle voice penetrated the mist. A fair and beautiful figure walked into Su Xing's line of sight. Wuxia's exquisite figure was wrapped in a white bath towel. A pair of slender jade-white legs stepped delicately. She had already let down her hair, making her originally beautiful hair become more lustrous than flowing water. "Xio, don't tell me you want to take a married couple's bath." Su Xing blinked and swallowed back his saliva. The Wuxia before his eyes was extremely sexy. Her skin looked delicate enough to break if he was so much as to blow on it. An extra layer of charm was added in the hot spring's warm steam. Wuxia's cheeks slightly blushed, her glistening eyes appeared cold and detached, yet they hid a slight bashfulness. "Is Lord Husband unwilling?" Wuxia asked, feigning nonchalance. "I'm willing, of course I'm willing." Su Xing smiled. Wuxia first used her toe to test the hot spring's water. Only afterwards did she cautiously enter the hot spring. She looked at Su Xing's lecherous, squinting eyes and pursed her lips. She then undid the bath towel, revealing her absolutely beautiful body. "Wifey, come here." Su Xing spread his arms to hug her. Wuxia turned away, ignoring him. Su Xing helplessly swam over to Wuxia's side. "Is your injury any better?" Wuxia whispered. What Yusuji Kenshin said was right. This hot spring is quite helpful for treating wounds. Su Xing looked at that frightening wound on his body. This slash was left by Zhu Manxiang. The 5-star destined weapon's dark rank was completely on the mark. If it was anyone else, he did not dare believe they would have lived through it. Su Xing was self-derisive. "In the future, I'll be more careful. I can't be presumptuous." Wuxia grunted. She traced that wound and leaned her head against Su Xing's shoulder. About Zhu Manxiang's starfall, Wuxia could sense that Su Xing's heart was not at all happy or glad like other star masters would be. On the contrary, there was some grief. Therefore, she borrowed the hot spring's healing to properly assume the role of a wife and comfort Su Xing. Now it seemed that she had completely overdone things. This man in front of her, her husband, appeared to have a logic about the star duels that was bizarre to others, but from another perspective, he possessed an unimaginable open-mindedness. Just like this hot spring steam, the more remote he was, the more mysterious he became. Lord Husband, to achieve our sister's wish to end the star duels, you can only become the overlord. Lord Husband, are you prepared? Wuxia reminded Su Xing that the star duels were not a stroll in the spring, and they were not a song to be enjoyed upon the Guqin. It was a cruel struggle, and the last wish inevitably would need to pay an extremely heavy price. Seeing Su Xing take risks and even nearly die for Zhu Manxiang, Wuxia in that instant had intentions to be angry. "Xiao, I know what you are worried about." Su Xing smiled. He could not possibly take action against Zhao Hanyan, Gong Kaiwei, or Shiyu. This also meant that even in the Seven Stars Assembly, he would be unable to become the overlord. Then the so-called wish would be unable to be achieved. Since I've already broken the rules, I may as well break everything until nothing is left. Su Xing did not know just what Maiden Mountain and Star World had in store for him. But regardless of the dangers awaiting him, he would not be deterred. "It's just that I don't know if you will blame me for being too responsible." Su Xing feigned vexation. Wuxia's smile had a bit of charm. Su Xing's heart throbbed. He clasped Wuxia's cheeks and lightly kissed her red lips. Wuxia did not resist. She closed her eyes and parted her lips, extending her tongue to welcome his intense domination. During their kiss, Su Xing's hands could not help but wander over her chest and butt. Wuxia's figure was extremely fine. Using words like hibiscus or sculpture did not appropriately describe her. When he fondled her jade breasts and butt, his desire instantly surged. Not a moment later, Wuxia's hair was already disheveled. Her bath towel already had floated to some other place. No, Wuxia's throat let out melodious moans. Her jade thighs could not help but writhe, taking the initiative to stick up her body to welcome Su Xing's love. "Lord Husband, if you want your servant, then want her." Feeling Su Xing slowly kiss her secret place, Wuxia's eyes were about to tear up, showing an endlessly coquettish expression. The two of them had already been married for many days since coming to the Ghost Kingdom. Since she already treated Su Xing as her husband and even signed a contract with him, Wuxia naturally was not coy, no longer reserved. In fact, when they came to the Ghost Kingdom, Wuxia already had plans to give herself wholly to Su Xing. As for the star nest or whatever, the Harm Star had never thought of needing it, but Su Xing nevertheless valued this star nest. Although they trusted each other sincerely for a long time, even so far as that this man had already kissed every particular place on her body, when she was already burning with desire, at the last moment, it was not Wuxia using her hand to help Su Xing settle this. Rather, it was him using the heart-like mirror absolute sincerity soul technique to settle this. For the first time, Wuxia hated this soul technique from the bottom of her heart. How could Su Xing not want to truly become one with Wuxia, but he never could leave an uncertain element of danger for temporary ecstasy. Before, when he did not know of Maiden Mountain's trials, he could. Now that Maiden Mountain was overbearing, Su Xing even recklessly signed a contract with Wuxia to provide her a star nest, to give himself a sense of comfort. "Wifey, there's ample time in the future. We can consummate when we ascend Maiden Mountain." Su Xing panted. He embraced her jade thighs and kissed upwards along her body. He began from those delicate toes, up her satiny bridge, to her graceful calves and finally reaching her well-shaped thighs, licking that secret valley of hers. "If your servant was to enter the star nest, then that would be the embarrassment of your servant's life." Wuxia groaned with a flushed face. Suddenly, Wuxia tightly covered her mouth, locking an even more embarrassing voice in her throat. Her thighs clamped together tightly, and her whole body spasmed and twitched. Her beautiful body entirely arched. After a while, she finally calmed down. Su Xing raised his head to kiss Wu Xiao's lips once more. Tenderly, he said, Xiao, I will never let you enter the star nest. But for now, I don't want your body. Ingmei and the others will worry about you. Your servant understands. Wu Xiao muttered. Wu Xiao rose and looked at the desire surging at Su Xing's lower body. Her hand clasped around it, and her eyes grew unfocused as she whispered, Lord husband, this time, allow your servant to serve you. Su Xing quivered. The Wu Xiao intoxicated in charm was honestly too overwhelming. Su Xing and Wu Xiao came to the Bakufu's imperial main hall. Yusuji Muzu had already been waiting for a long time. The woman was in the middle of practicing her batajutsu and stopped when she caught sight of Su Xing. Your married couple's bath was honestly too long. Yusuji Kenshin yawned, as if she was already tired of waiting. How many times did you do it? A dozen. Even Wu Xiao blushed crimson when she asked this brazen question. Su Xing asked, and Koito? Empress Highness does not wish to see you. Yusuji Muzu said. Why? Wu Xiao wrinkled her brow. Yusuji Muzu stared deeply at Wu Xiao, as if she had countless things to say, but in the end, the cool and elegant woman merely smiled. She did not answer. Then forget it. But I want to know, do you two truly come from Star World? Su Xing was a bit hesitant to believe this. Could it be there are other worlds? Yusuji Kenshin disapproved. But how did you two descend? Su Xing could not understand. Liangshan continent had many legends about Star World, but the records were very unclear. Up until now, no one could say the reason. Even the transforming star of annihilation realm above Supervoid was a legendary existence. In so many historical records, he had never heard of a cultivator from Star World. Yusuji Muzu had a look that said she knew he would ask this. This is not difficult. An old man calling himself an immortal flew up to Star World, opening a passage. It was very coincidental that Muzu and Her Highness Koito came down. Immortal? Su Xing's mouth hung agape. Could it be that legendary transforming star of annihilation immortal extreme clarity the most high paths, even the Azure Dragon territories, #1 cultivator? Originally, Su Xing was still thinking of the most high paths disaster. This transforming star of annihilation old man would be a thorny problem if he was to show himself, but now he seemed already unnecessary to consider. Is it so simple? Wu Xiao was not very convinced. Yusuji Kenshin shrugged, as if it was this easy. However, Su Xing remembered that her status in the birth treasure outline was debilitated. The Ghost Kingdom should not have anything capable of harming the heavenly Exceed star. In that case, it would have to be leftover from when she was in Star World. It seemed that things were not so simple. Right, is everyone in Star World a woman? Su Xing suddenly remembered something. Regardless of Liangshan's 108 star maidens or Yusuji Kenshin, they all seemed to inherit some materials from characters on Earth. Connecting the so-called star name and true name, Su Xing's mind had a rough outline of Star World, but it was also somewhat unreal. Men love to care about this sort of topic. Yusuji Muzu did not hide her disgust at all. Terribly sorry, but Muzu does not wish to answer this question. Su Xing Wu Xiao at this time interjected, since you are from Star World, then tell us. Just what is the true face of these star duels? She would be far clearer on that than Muzu, is that not true? The woman slightly smiled and pointed. Su Xing and Wu Xiao turned. Chao Gai walked over. Su Xing's brow furrowed, and he did not hesitate to flip open the birth treasure outline. Golden light flashed, and the book's pages flipped. Star position, Heavenly Buddha star name, Chao Gai nickname, Thousand Buddha star true name. Rank? Star weapon. Star beast. Realm. Innate skill. 5 elements. Yellow rank special technique. Dark rank special technique. Earth rank special technique. Heaven rank special technique. Current status. Detailed materials. The pages full of question marks made Su Xing's eyes go dizzy. Su Xing, you are very rude, to think of peeking at this one, your cultivation is still too shallow. Chao Guide appeared stern. Su Xing chuckled. As expected of the Star Duel's guardian, the birth treasure outline could not illuminate anything, as expected. Your servant merely wants to know your true name, Chao Guy. Addressing you in the future is inevitable. Is there any need to go through so much trouble? What harm is there in informing you of this one's true name? Chao Guy mysteriously smiled. Remember well, this one's true name, Wuhui. 1, is the same surname as Wuxia. Take isn't really complete, but I'm not sure what the proper form would be. Right arrow curving left 4. Which would explain why Humi has the supreme ultimate diagram that is supposed to be in his possession. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.